one of Ross Chastain on the inside of that front row. Christopher Bell, the pole winner on the outside. They had to wait a little bit longer, but the fans are about to see the start. We're racing in Michigan.
Lined up on that inside. Pretty good organization on both lines. Look at the push to 54 is giving Ross Chastain down into turn 1. Ross going to slide up in front of the 20 and take his air away and clear for the lead.
Ty Gibbs had made the comment, I'm going to push my teammate into turn 1. Well, his teammate wasn't in front of him, so he pushed the 1 of Ross Chastain, and Chastain now out in front of this field.
Martin Truex Jr. flew down into turn 3, taking away 4th spot from his teammate Ty Gibbs. Here comes Chase Elliott down 3 wide on his teammate.
Well, I think Chase Elliott just answered a question I was going to ask. How aggressive are you early on a racetrack that just got cleared off of the rain?
Here comes Truex again. I think you got to be aggressive on all the restarts, Rick. It's a great opportunity, really the best chance to pass a lot of cars if your car's capable of doing that. Busher back hard on the outside, going to try to make it tough on Truex. He's going to clear him off of turn 4.
And a run for Busher now. He closes the gap between himself and Christopher Bell. What will he do with that momentum as they go into 1?
They're right on top of that 1 car down into turn 1 as we're watching the racing back in the pack. Truex back to the bottom of Busher again for 3rd down the back straightaway. Really impressed with this 17 car in qualifying. Really fast time coming off a win last week at Richmond. Was eager to see if they could have the pace in the race today. A completely different racetrack.
Martin Truex Jr. again trying that inside line. See if he could close the gap on Busher. Busher's come back to him just a bit.
And he's getting more and more frustrated, Rick, every time he tries to go by and can't make that pass happen. He seems like, or feels like he's got the faster car, but that's how hard it is to make a pass here on the bottom of the racetrack.
Chastain, we mentioned it, newfound speed since his win at Nashville. He had not led a race, and now he's out front leading laps here in Michigan. Is once again Martin Truex Jr. trying that low line, and he's going to clear the 17.
Yeah, he cleared it that time. He was able to carry a ton of speed into turn 3, just wrap that white line on the bottom, able to go back to the throttle quicker and clear him. There's a lot of learning happening right now. This is the first time these cars have been in this traffic like this weekend. Everybody's cars are driving completely different than they did yesterday in practice.
Ty Gibbs trying to stay on the side of this 17 car down the back straightaway. Barely hanging on to the side draft there down into turn 3.
Martin Truex Jr. trying to get by the 20 now.
I'd say at 19 looks like the best car on the racetrack. All the Toyotas were quick when practice. Ty Gibbs back there trying to take a spot as well. Joe Gibbs Racing trying to work their way forward. See Bell trying to hang on to that spot, can't do it. This battle here rages on.
Ty Gibbs ducks back in behind the 17. Will try again, regroup. As the 22 of Joey Logano looks for a little bit of clean air. We see Bubba Wallace in the 23 working to the inside of the 9 of Chase Elliott.
Just barely clear right now, but Chase is trying to come back on that outside. Bubba's gonna give him not enough room there. Comes right up in front of him.
Watch that all day off of turn 4. This has been a trouble spot. Riding along with Bubba Wallace. Got a big run down the front straightaway on Joey Logano.
Able to make the pass. He takes that spot away. Now we're starting to see different lines. William Byron running a little bit higher line than his teammate.
Logano's struggling right here. Really beat the 9 car through 1 and 2, but the 9's back trying to make a pass down the back straightaway. Oh, up the racetrack, almost into the door, Logano. Now he's going to get some help here.
Yeah, Byron's going to push his teammate. And also, I think they feel like the 22 car is a little bit slower. They feel like they can get by him if they work together. It's a battle for the lead. Truex with a very fast car. You can see right there how the one car drove away from him. That was Truex getting tight off the corner behind that wake. Just lost the downforce.
Yeah, lost a lot of momentum, and so it dropped him back about 3 car lengths as we see Denny Hamlin in the 11 trying to work to the inside of the 12 of Ryan Blaney. There's the gap now between 1 and 2. Martin Truex Jr. regrouping.
And I agree with Dale, Rick. When you watch this 19 car, not only does he have great lap time, but he's able to do it just a little bit more efficiently, like a half a lane to 1 lane lower than the 1 car. Really down here in 3 and 4s where you see the difference. So at the top of the screen, watch the 1 car enter turn 3. And then, Marty, that 19 turns right a lane below her or half a lane right here and can really get through the middle of the corner.
Boy, Truex is so good, and Ross Chastain certainly knows that. So what's been up with Ross Chastain? Rick, you mentioned it. Since the win at Nashville, no finish better than 13th. But Phil Surgeon told me, I think we'll come to Michigan with speed. They did that. Started second, right now leading. And he told me the bottom line is we just have to execute today. We need this race. We need the momentum going into the playoffs.
Remember back to Nashville Super Speedway, we saw these two going at it. And as fast as the 19 is, Ross is good or as good at taking the air away from the 19. Sort of, you know, giving him very little options on where he can run his car and where he can find speed. It's going to be a tough, tough pass if Truex can make it happen.
Taking that clean air away. Well, it hasn't slowed the 19 and Martin Truex down. As we take a look at the Xfinity fastest lap, it happened on lap 7 for Martin. Over 191 mile an hour average around this 2-mile track, 37.50. That's the fastest lap.
Truex is faster, but Ross is looking in that mirror. He's watching that 19, seeing where he's making time, what lanes he likes to run, and he's going to try to take those lanes away. Anytime Truex gets close, he's going to go wherever that 19 is. That's going to make it really, really hard. It's going to take away the air and the downforce on the 19, take away his advantage in speed.
Gap is closed once again. Martin Truex Jr. continues lap after lap to pick away at that lead. Fastest laps last time by was Christopher Bell, then Martin Truex Jr. Ross Chastain didn't even have a top 5 as far as fastest lap last time by. Well, it started a little bit slow, a little bit wet, but the engine got fired back up for racing. It's the NASCAR Cup Series Racing presented by Golden Corral. caution just coming out as Kyle Busch was on the inside of Ryan Blaney. And as Ryan Blaney was going by, Kyle Busch went around. Take a look.
Kyle down to the bottom of the racetrack and just up the racetrack into the door of the 12, and that brings him right around.
Just two guys racing hard for position. See right here, Kyle has forward momentum. Feels like he can get up the racetrack. Starts up the racetrack. That contact you spoke about just gets him turned around and contacting the wall. Not sure how much damage it is.
I'm surprised by that because we've seen a lot of cars using that bottom groove and being pretty stable. But he went in the turn and the car just looked like it come out from under him and just had to chase it up the track. And unfortunately, he chased it up into the 12. And I think he saves that if the 12's not there.
It's not something that we've seen a lot this year or last year with this car. Typically, but beside someone, they drive really well. But with the contact, you know, that's what started this issue. Normally we would see this, and that would be air. You know, air would be pulling downforce off that inside car, and it would wreck it, spin out, lose control. But in this case, that contact is what, in my opinion, that's what got this thing started. And Kyle Busch he was extremely excited. I talked to him this morning. He felt really good about his car, felt like he had great speed yesterday. Car drove great.
Let's listen in to Ryan Blaney's radio.
What do you think was going to happen there? I mean, luckily we didn't get wrecked too. Yeah, we're lucky.
I mean, could Ryan Blaney have done anything different? As the 8 is going to go behind the wall, and Steve, he would be on the DVP, right? So
he's done.
He's out of the race.
The 8's out of the race. To Jeff, to your point, I also thought the 8 looked really good in practice, but he started 8th. He fell all the way back to 14th. He was making his way back up to 11th before he had that accident, but obviously something early on, not quite as what we expected for the 8 car. I didn't see him losing spots early.
There's RC on top of the hauler and probably not very happy as to one of his cars out of the race early. Well, NASCAR Drive, that's your live race day companion. You can follow your favorite drivers with access to their in-car cameras. Customize your tire streaming experience. Visit NASCAR.com/drive or download the NASCAR mobile app to watch all the action.
You know, you can use that NASCAR mobile app to take Kyle Busch and put him in your garage if he's on your fantasy team.
Fantasy.
This is disappointing for Kyle. So good in practice.
But surprising. I think we heard Ryan Blaney say, what did he think was going to happen? Surprising that we see this early on in this race. This is going to be the competition caution also, right, Steve?
Yeah, so I expect pit road to be pretty busy. A lot of guys are going to come down, probably a 2-tire change and full of fuel. We see split decision. No, maybe 10 or 12 cars have stayed out.
Marty.
You called it, Steve. You're going to see a lot of 2-tire changes here as these cars come down pit road. Ross Chastain coming down, say, I need more turn at the 3/4 mark. Just too tight. Christopher Bell said a little too tight to fire off, but pretty happy with the car the longer they ran. The other thing to take into account here, I know they didn't want to come here at the comp caution as Chastain wins the race off pit road of those who did pit, but the pace a little bit higher today. Speed's a little bit quicker, so they're going to need that fuel.
Yeah, Marty, it looked as though 11 cars stayed out. So we'll see if that pays off, that strategy. It didn't work out for Kyle Busch, at least running that inside line when he was beneath the 12. He is now out of the race. 2x2 once again as the cars are chasing after the pace car, and something you don't normally see is lights on the pace car before we're about to go green, but for some reason they were flashing on the back of the pace car. He's going to make the left-hand turn though, and so we are about to get ready to go green again. Martin Truex Jr. and Ty Gibbs making up row one. Back underway, short a car, and Kyle Busch in the garage as we see a big push from the 17 of Buescher, as well as the 9 of Chase Elliott pushing that front row, but it works best for Martin Truex Jr. First 4 cars all in line, and here comes to the inside of that 9, Chase Elliott. The 12, Ryan Blaney has made his way up here, and again 11 cars stayed out under this caution. We'll keep our eye on Ross Chastain. He's running 11th now after the restart, as we see Elliott now to the inside of that 12.
So fresh tires in practice didn't seem to have a whole lot more speed than the older tires. Cars could leave pit road, go out and run just as fast a laps, but that doesn't mean they have the same amount of grip in traffic.
You're clear.
Now you're 2 and 3 wide. We will see if those 2 right side tires are an advantage for the cars that come to pit road.
Look at Tyler Reddick in that 45.
We can already see how aggressive these drivers are going to be today. Restarts are a great opportunity. And Steve, to your point, I think these guys on 2 tires, they don't really know what the car is going to do. I mean, Truex has run the fastest lap of the race, but he did it on like the 4th or 5th lap of the race, which means it takes a while for these tires to get going. So with 2 tires, what does the car do? How does it drive? Is it looser? Is it tighter? Everybody's still learning that.
One thing I am confident is your car is going to drive better at the front, regardless of the number of tires. Back here where you see the Chastain, his teammate, the 99 of Suarez right there, the 6, all of those cars in the middle of the pack, it's going to be very kind of slipping and sliding right there. And this is what you got to do, kind of single file down the straightaway, get back up in the draft, and then they spread out in the corner. Here we go, Logano.
Still clear.
Big run. On board with the Hunt Brothers Pizza. Got all the way up to the back.
Up in front of the 10 by 1.
Yeah, Kevin Harvick, we were riding along, and he got right to the back of that 10 of Eric Almirola.
This weekend so far has been very un-Kevin Harvick-like at Michigan. I was expecting high speeds in practice. They were very mediocre. Even today, I didn't believe it. I said, oh, they're going to make some changes for the race. This is a car that runs so good here, and here he is. Corey LaJoie in the 7 on the inside and the 38 to the outside. Kevin Harvick in the middle, that bright orange car.
Justin Haley in the 31 also working his way on the low line. There's Tyler Reddick in the 45. He was the man on the move and had gotten to the back bumper of the 12 of Ryan Blaney, but now we'll see if he can do anything with it. Parker.
And Rick, keep an eye on this one because it was the start of the race when Tyler Reddick started 15th in the first 3 laps. He got to 11th very quickly. Then he went to pass Ryan Blaney, didn't complete the pass, and fell all the way back to 15th. They're now up to 6th after staying out there on that pit cycle. But that's the thing. His team came on the radio after that and said, no more Mr. Nice Guy. We need you to be aggressive and clearing yourself to that top lane. See if he gets a better shot at Ryan Blaney here, now up for the top 5, Marty.
Parker, Ross Chastain, the furthest running forward of those who came to pit road at lap 17. They took right side tires. Phil Surgeon saying he wanted to put his driver on offense, so he gave him the fuel to definitely make it to the end of the stage. Those right side Goodyear tires. But Steve, those who did not pit, I just checked in with Matt McCall, the crew chief for Brad Keselowski. They did not pit. He said it is extremely close to us being able to make it to the end of the stage on fuel.
Well, extremely close to make it, and then when they do get to the end, they have to decide how much fuel to put in. If they want to fill their tank up, they're going to lose spots on pit road, but that's still 20 laps to go. First, we got all this racing to decide who's going to be where. Big move by the 22 of Logano, a 2 for 1 down the backstretch.
Corey LaJoie flying in there trying to make it 3 wide. That was a late move.
That was. Everybody really lucky right there to get through that okay. way back in the pack, man, the racing is insane. It's still not really sorted itself out. Everybody trying to take advantage of each other and try to take positions away.
Justin Haley in that 31 was pushing on the 7 of Corey LaJoie.
That 7 was really, really good in practice, but he was the one car we saw have an issue. Got high, made contact. They were able to qualify, but they had to put a rear bumper and a right rear quarter panel on. For that reason, he had to start in the back.
There was some more momentum we saw out of Kevin Harvick, but once he got to the back bumper,
Build into 3.
he pushed the 7 of LaJoie forward, and now he's going by that 31 of Haley. Todd Gilliland in the 38 trying to make the pass on Haley now. Reminder, in the 42 is Josh Berry. Way up the racetrack goes Allmendinger.
That looked like the kind of moment that the 8 had, but the 8 had the 12 to his outside earlier. Allmendinger, to your point, Junior, about if he could have saved it, Allmendinger used every bit of racetrack, but was able to keep his car going the right direction.
Yeah, we wonder how much grip's way above the treated part of the racetrack. We've seen cars in big trouble in turn 3 and 4. It's a little bit dusty up there. I think the track's a little cleaner down in 1 and 2. Parker.
Guys, it's just a great reminder of how on edge these drivers are as we check in with our Ashley Furniture on the move driver, Corey LaJoie. And Steve, you point out that car was fast in practice, but they had that incident into turn 3 and 4. And I asked his team about that, and they said he just went over just that little bit and couldn't quite catch it. And that's how on edge these drivers are. Even when it's fast, as he makes a move here on Joe Logano down to turn 3, they are on the razor thin edge, being able to control these race cars around Michigan.
I had a conversation with Ryan Sparks in the garage as they were repairing this car, and he said what the next step for Corey in his driving career is he has to push so hard for the equipment they can provide in year 1 and year 2. Now that the equipment is faster, he needs him to almost try a little less. Don't try to get that last half of tenth when they have a fast race car, because the damage and the extra work puts them further behind.
See how that 5 car looked like he was beat off the corner until he gets closer to the 20, and then 20 has to almost lift off the gas. It makes him tight. Really interesting to watch these cars kind of interact and engage with each other in the corner. See right here, oh, the 5 almost spun the car out, way out of the throttle, losing lots of spots right here.
Yeah, everybody trying to get around Larson, and he's probably trying to catch his breath. As we saw the 11 of Denny Hamlin get right up to him, cut him a little bit of a break there.
Yeah, he needs to. He owes him a bit. I think he's just trying to repay a little at a time from what happened at Pocono. Kim, what you got on that 5?
That 5 reporting he's just too loose to do what he wants to do. And I talked to crew chief Cliff Daniels this morning, and I said, what's your weekend been like? And he said, we would go back and do things differently in practice if we had the opportunity. They had this plan to send Kyle out during practice and just want it as wide open as much as possible to see the car's limit. He said that was maybe a mistake. We didn't have a good read on the car and what it's going to do throughout the race. So we'll see how they adapt to not really having a good notebook of what this car's doing this weekend.
Larson has fallen back to 15th. He was up there fighting for 12th. As right behind him has Austin Cindric, and we mentioned earlier, early out of this race, Kyle Busch. Parker's with it.
Right, he's been check released from the infield care center. And Kyle, what happened there beneath the 12 of Ryan Blaney?
I just hate I put myself in a bad situation for all my guys, everybody at RCR, and all the work that goes into building these things, you know, just trying to make a pass and I don't know. Yeah, just.
Was that an overly aggressive move on your part, or do you feel like the 12 squeezed you at all?
I'm sorry?
Was that an overly aggressive move on your part, or did you feel like the 12 squeezed you at all?
I mean, you try to race and you try to run side by side, and I don't know. It's really not wide enough. Looked like I washed up, so it's all my fault.
These cars are pretty much on edge right now?
I mean, you're going through the corner at 180 miles an hour, so I'd say so. They're pretty fast.
Yeah, definitely, guys. They're on edge out there.
Yeah, you're able to go 180 miles an hour because they make so much grip, but with the millisecond they lose grip, they're coming around. And that's what, you know, Christopher Bell in the pre-race, he talked about these cars being nervous to drive, and that's what he's talking about, is that they feel great, a lot of grip, and then just for that 1 second, like we saw with Kyle Larson a moment ago, you don't even know what's coming. The tires don't speak to you until you're already almost spun out.
Daniel Suarez in the 99, working his way on the inside of the 9 of Chase Elliott, moving forward. Bart Truex Jr. out front. A big wreck for Chase Elliott. It looked like the right rear had come down and up into the wall. He went.
Yeah, you can see, watch how quickly this race car comes around. You can see everything felt good, and then immediately it went around. Big hit for Chase Elliott. Watch the sparks fly out from underneath this car. See right there, right rear tire came apart, and he's along for the ride right now.
He was a team that decided to not come to pit road, but I don't think anyone expected to have any sort of tire issues. This is the same right side tire we've run here in Michigan before. You mentioned it, just a big rear impact, very square on the rear bumper. And you see the back of this car, unlike last year, you see some deformation. You see right there, the back of the car has squeezed into the rear glass. Still a huge hit, but it's good to see the car take some of the impact. You said it, Jeff, right down on the wheel. Zero control, zero chance for the 9.
And you have to wonder now, obviously, Chase Elliott, we keep talking about him being in the points. Could he point himself in? This clearly is going to put him in a position where he has to win. Saw that wall move when he made contact. And I also wonder if this doesn't make people nervous. We talk about tires being faster. You don't need new tires. But does this put a little doubt in people's minds, afraid not to put new tires on it?
Kim.
And the team got on the radio and reassured Chase there was nothing you could have done in that situation. You did everything right. It was just the rear tire. Spotter Eddie DeHaan got on the radio right after the hit and said, Chase, are you okay? And you kind of, on the radio, heard him try and catch his breath before he said, I think I'm okay. So definitely a hard hit for Chase, and they were straddling the line of needing points versus needing a win coming into this race, and this obviously puts them in a situation where they likely need a win in the last 3 races before the season, the regular season is over, and they had been very optimistic about what they brought this weekend. So a frustrating day for this team, no doubt.
And we see the cart there. It's mandatory that anytime you're involved in an incident, you have to go to the infield care center. So that's what Chase will do. Even though he drove it into the garage, he'll get checked out. As we see the 34, remember Michael McDowell right there on the cut line as far as the playoff standings. And they've had some issues here as they're putting some tape now on that splitter. Marty.
Yeah, Rick, the nose is damaged for Michael McDowell, and boy, all the drivers below the cut line all of a sudden having trouble here with Chase Elliott and now Michael McDowell. They had a decent run going, but they said they hit someone on the racetrack, maybe on the last restart, and had some damage to the splitter. So they came in, you see that tape going on just to tape that up, but Michael McDowell below the cut line needing some help to be able to make the playoffs with some early damage here at Michigan.
And you can see how severe the damage was, as now the decision is, do you come or do you not? This just makes the race even more difficult to call as you see many cars coming to pit road, Parker.
Right, as you see Chris Buescher come down here. This should be 4 tires here for the 17 as they come around, just fighting a little bit of a loose race car. As you see many of these cars on edge as we go through this, not waiting on fuel. Also on pit road, the bottom of your screen there, Tyler Reddick, which was 4 tires as well, Kim.
And Ryan Blaney, top left, he just needs a little bit more stability in that race car. Remember, he was one that said you have to be very brave to commit here to the line you're running. 4 tires, Sunoco fuel for Ryan Blaney.
You see Christopher Bell at the front end of pit road saying he wanted a very slight adjustment here. The one thing here, Steve, is that makes the next stop for all these teams that came here much shorter, hoping to gain track position, which is going to be the key all day long.
And cars staying on the racetrack like Martin Truex Jr., he's thinking win the stage and get those points. As you see Chase Elliott, as you mentioned, Rick, taking that mandatory ride to the infield care center.
We'll have a restart and just a few laps left in stage 1. But the caution comes out for Chase Elliott, slamming the wall in 3 and 4. NBC Sports coverage of NASCAR on USA is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Save when you bundle auto, home, or motorcycle insurance. Visit progressive.com. And by Toyota. Let's go places. Fans back on their feet.
5 cars on the front end yet to come to pit road, Rick. This is all about stage points and a stage win at the front of the field.
Truex Jr. as well as Bubba Wallace making up row 1. 6 laps to go in stage 1. Gibbs, Keselowski, Suarez. 5 drivers that did not come to pit road and haven't been there yet. Look at them spread out. 4 wide.
The winner right now at all this is Bubba Wallace up into second place. Ty Gibbs as well sitting there in third. Suarez trying to get into the top 5 here. All 3 of those drivers right around the cut line needing these stage points. They are under pressure. This is a big few laps for them coming to the end of stage 1.
Logano all the way down to the apron in that number 22 Pennzoil Ford Mustang. Denny Hamlin in the 11 up high as we see a little debris flying around the track there. Now Ross Chastain moves to the inside. He's going to pass 2 cars.
It's not just the crazy speeds, it's these abrupt moves. As you mentioned, Chastain, a big move to the inside, passes 2 cars, and you see the run that the 2 instantly has in the middle of 3 wide. Now the momentum goes to the top and the 22, all in one straightaway.
Yeah, look what happened to Blaney in that 12 car, that bright yellow car on the bottom. He had a big run, and being 3 wide on the bottom, lost all the momentum, and now look at that move by the 45 car. Just went straight to the bottom and got 2 cars in 1 corner.
Christopher Bell's going to do a crossover, though, down the back straightaway, but he runs up on the back bumper of Chastain into turn 3.
Yeah, we saw the slide job by Tyler Reddick, and Christopher Bell saw it.
Oh, he puts Reddick way up into the dirt. Both drivers out of the gas.
And Ross Chastain moved up the track. Now the 22 is going to push Tyler Reddick down the front stretch.
It's such a decision you have to make. How do you get on the outside of somebody? If you can get on the outside of them, you can kill their momentum. You try to make a move on the bottom and it doesn't work, then they just pile up on the outside and go back by you.
Truex with a 7/10 of a second lead over Bubba Wallace. And it's 1.3 seconds back to Gibbs. Keselowski, Suarez 4th and 5th. The real fighting around this racetrack is back. 10th back, a really close call there. As we see almost contact between the 22 of Logano and Reddick.
Yeah, he's trying not to get passed on the outside there by both those cars. Trying to get as tight as he can to slow him down. Lost momentum here on the inside of Priest, and now his teammate coming up behind as well to take another spot. He's going to lose more spots down the back straightaway, Rick. 3, 4 spots. Oh, man, it's so frustrating watching all those cars go by. Back up front, the 99 underneath Brad Keselowski for 4th spot. Larson lurking there behind, almost in the fence. Larson to the inside, big move here.
Final lap of stage 1. And Kyle Larson can't quite clear Suarez, but he still moves up the racetrack.
You're right through the 48, 1 lane lower. Half up back now, half back, you're good.
Look at the momentum Suarez has.
Yep, go get him back. No run out back here, nothing behind the 48.
How aggressive will he be as they go into 3? Suarez coming back on the inside, but Martin Truex Jr. runs away, and he's going to win stage 1.
Car in the wall, off turn 4, Rick. Car in the wall, I think it's the 24, William Byron. Hard contact.
Byron slow on the track now. The caution comes out for the end of the stage, as well as the 24 of Byron.
He was running 9th and just shot into the wall. I don't know if there was contact from another car.
I saw the same thing, Dale, right? It was the 11 of Denny Hamlin, the 7 and the 24. Let's take a look at it, exactly what happens. Oh, a big wiggle.
Ran out of racetrack and got into the wall.
His right rear bad too, Steve.
NBC Sports coverage of NASCAR on USA is brought to you by the new all-you-can-eat wings and fried chicken at Golden Corral. Only one for everyone. Sonic Classic Shakes, just $1.99 all day for a limited time only at Sonic. And by the new movie Gran Turismo, based on a true story, only in theaters August 25th. Follow @BushBeer on Twitter, and you can tweet #BreakForBush, #sweepstakes during every commercial break for your chance to win $2,500 as we ride along with Kevin Harvick. A lot of work going on with the 24 car of Byron.
Yeah, and I think it seems like a lot of the hand signals of some terminal issues. We'll see if they'll be able to get it repaired. And now the leaders of Truex, Wallace, Gibbs, Keselowski, great stage. But now you have to kind of pay the piper, Parker. It's time to put fuel in the front four.
Right, it's a big stage for Bubba Wallace and that 23 team, netting second place stage points there. He's told the team the car was handling great, but even at the end of that stage, since they didn't pit, they were asking him to save a little bit of fuel when he was comfortable in second place here. As you'll see, this be a longer stop, having to fill it full of fuel.
Martin Truex Jr. there in the middle of your screen. He didn't report anything handling-wise, so happy with that race car. The right side change did look a little bit slow on that, but they are waiting on fuel. This plays exactly into what James Small wanted. Points to widen the gap they have on the rest of the field in terms of the regular season. Marty?
You got to understand the call by Matt McCall to leave Brad Keselowski out. There you go with the drivers leaving pit road. They're playing the points game on the 6 car. Had to wait on the fuel for him. Certainly a long time, and a ton of cars stayed out. For William Byron, he told Rudy Fugle, I have no idea what happened. I just went into the wall. There's certainly right front damage. There is right rear damage as well, Steve, and now they're on the clock. So all these playoff contenders with trouble here early at Michigan today.
Difficult start for the 24 team as well. And now for a special look at Gran Turismo, only in theaters August 25th. You're watching NASCAR Cup Series racing presented by Golden Corral. And it's been a tough day already for Hendrick Motorsports as we see They're going to work on the 24 of William Byron. Parker has caught up with Chase Elliott, who's already out of the race.
Chase Elliott checked and released from the infield care center. First of all, that was a hard hit. Chase, you feeling all right?
Yeah, I feel good. Hate it happened. Obviously, just really early, in the day to have a tire blow like that. It was really weird. So, bummer, but not surprised.
No warning that that tire was going?
No, not at all. I mean, we were obviously we stayed out, but no, I don't even feel like I was being hard on it. So, unfortunately, not. Just add it to the list.
I know you coming in here in a precarious position, points-wise, felt like you need a win. Obviously, that definitely puts you in a position, need a win, needs to have a couple races to get in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I told you all that the week I got back, so nothing's changed.
And I think he's getting tired of answering the question with that comment that he made there. He thinks they need to win. And then the 24 is still sitting on pit road. Marty.
Yeah, Rick, and I think the clock's about to run out in the damaged vehicle policy here. They're trying to get repairs done, but for both right front and right rear, they're probably not going to make it. The implications here, they really felt like they still had a shot at the regular season title. That's going to be an awfully tough task now with going out early here in Michigan and only 3 races left in the regular season.
As you mentioned it, the clock did run out. They would have had to have gotten off pit road to stop the clock. Now, Bowman on the high side as we get ready for the restart. And stage 2 is underway. That's Eric Jones in the 43. The Allegiant blue 43 on the inside. And pretty good momentum now. He'll be door to door as they come off of 2.
Austin Dillon really uncomfortable there on the bottom of the racetrack, now out to the outside. A lot of guys had to make some moves to try not to make contact with the 3 car there.
Eric Jones aggressively side drafting Alex Bowman.
Trying to drive up the racetrack and take his line away. Pushes him up into the dirt.
Oh, we got a spin.
Hard contact. Josh Berry in the 42. And again, Josh Berry subbing for Noah Gregson. And Josh Berry with a lot of damage. He was running 16th.
I happened to look up and I saw him.
Yeah, I guess it's killed.
He was just being really aggressive on the restart through 1 and 2. Got into the drove in the bottom of 3. And it's just wild restarts. It's just crazy how aggressive you have to be. And this is the result. Just hard racing.
Yeah, AMR safety team, we see them attending to Josh. Take another look at what happened.
He's just on the bottom of the racetrack, and Corey LaJoy drives under him, but he was already loose before Corey got there. You see him starting to come around.
Nice job by the 54, realizing what was happening in front of him, getting out of the gas. Another big rear impact.
Yeah, this is, we talk about the speeds of these cars, but when you have grip, they drive great, but they lose grip so quickly, and you just don't know it, and that's what's so hard when you go on a racetrack like this that's so fast. You're right on the edge of grip, and there's not any cushion, Junior. When it snaps around, it's gone, and it's just almost impossible to save it. That save we saw earlier in the race with Kyle Larson, I was shocked he saved it. It just comes around and happens so quickly. We just saw it with William Byron. His day is over. These things, they feel great right up to the point they don't.
And that was a big change in the tire from a couple years ago that shortened up the sidewall, and that's where the drivers talk about that box and that forgiveness is much, much smaller now. And Josh had a lot of experience with this tire, but he learned something today. Kim.
And he was hoping to learn even more. I talked to Josh in the garage this morning and said, what's the goal for today? Just kind of being thrust into this seat this weekend. He said, keep the fenders on it, run every single lap, learn as much as I can for next season when I'm running full-time Cup. So early into a day when he was wanting to fill his notebook for next season.
Look, I know it's not the result he wanted, but he's still learning. I mean, we learn by trying. We learn by making mistakes. I mean, that's part of being a young race car driver in the Cup Series, is you have to push yourself past your limit to find it. And this is part of the process. We've seen every driver go through this part of the process where you have to be willing to do these things. If you're not willing to drive aggressively, drive and get over your limits from time to time, you're never going to reach full capacity. So although you hate the result, it is part of the process.
Pit road is open, and we don't expect to see too many making their way onto pit road, except those in the back of the field who might want to make a few adjustments. But this caution comes out for Josh Berry behind the wheel to 42. It gets loose, and around it goes. NBC Sports coverage of NASCAR on USA is brought to you by Credit One Bank, a credit card company, and by the new all-you-can-eat wings and fried chicken at Golden Corral. The only one for everyone. Already 4 cautions on the day. Just getting started with stage 2. You see them pushing the 24 of William Byron back.
Yeah, so we saw, you know, an early caution that ended up being the competition caution, then a later yellow, then the stage end. It's kind of jumbled the field up, right? We have Bowman, Jones, Bell, all the guys at the front pitted at lap 37, and they have cycled their way to the front. You see the stage points are of Truex, Bubba, Ty, Keselowski. What's the penalty? The penalty is they were then on the second half of the pit cycle, and for that reason, here you go. Ty Gibbs, Martin Truex Jr., way back in the field currently, right? You see, I think right now the farthest up of all the cars that finished is Chris Buescher, who's recovered very nicely up to 14th. But this is that very precarious time for those guys that stay down in stage 1. Now, I think it was a good decision to get the points, but now they have to make their way through the field without getting caught up in one of these accidents.
And it has been sketchy. We've seen cars just break free on their own. Alex Bowman once again on the outside. Eric Jones on the inside. Back up through the gears they go. Christopher Bell in the 20 trying to catch up to the back bumper. That 48 can't get there. Tyler Reddick giving the 43 a shove. And right down in front of that 43, Alex Bowman went.
Here comes the 20. Christopher Bell's got a good run on the 48 to the lead. Does he make a move to the inside here? Down to the inside of turn 3. Can he get up alongside Bowman? He's there. Bowman's going to carry the momentum. 3 wide back there behind him. Sort himself out.
Bowman serpentining down the front stretch, trying to break that draft. Cars behind him as Ross Chastain jets to the bottom of the racetrack. He tries to go by A.J. Allmendinger. Darty moves already out of Ross Chastain. We've seen it a few times. Now Bubba Wallace gets out of line and then back in line.
Briscoe almost in the wall off of 2. Then he cuts across Bubba's nose. It's awesome watching the racing back here in this back half of the field. So these guys are so desperate to get out of this dirty air back here. The closer you get toward the front, the better your car is going to drive.
Look at Truex. The back of the screen, he was jumping to make it 3 wide. There he is. Trying to work himself back up through the field.
Right now, Truex looking strong as he fights back up to the 17th position. We know he's got one of the fastest cars on the track today as he goes by Corey LaJoie. Now sets his sights on the 22 of Logano. Saw Larson get out of line there in the 5. Another run by Martin Truex Jr. in the 19. He looks to the inside. Larson comes down to stop that momentum.
Joy back there trying to drive up through the field as well. Showed some good speed in this 7 car after the accident earlier in the weekend.
There, Martin Truex Jr. able to complete the pass on Logano.
And Martin Truex Jr. and that team felt very confident about that race car. When I talked to the team this morning, they said they were about one of what they thought was 4 or 5 cars that could win this race. Martin absolutely using the track to his advantage, picking off other drivers. Should also note they topped off on fuel on lap 49 and 53. Their strategy was a little bit different. They were in the second half of the field, so their tank a little bit fuller than the other guys out there.
Yeah, he's flying. He's, you know, full of fuel and he's fast. He's 13 spots, and he is just turning left and going by guys, getting alongside Kyle Larson now. But you can see the confidence Truex has in his car. He's just willing to put his car anywhere he thinks it to get him a spot. He's just going there, Parker.
And catch up with William Byron, who had that instant off turn 4, getting loose. Did it just get loose from you?
Yeah, just trying a little too hard. Trying to get some stage points, and yeah, just stepped away. We were kind of free for the most part of the day to that point, and just kind of surprised me, but it's a mistake. Driver needs to do better.
You guys were in contention for the regular season points championship. I know it's a big blow to that. How disappointing is that?
Yeah, it is what it is. We just gotta get faster again and keep going at it. But yeah, just a mistake. Can't have that.
Theme of the day, guys. Drivers just overstepping.
Trying to be aggressive, and as an owner, I would say I like that. I want my driver to be aggressive, but that line is just so hard to define as we see the 11 of Denny Hamlin going by Eric Jones, and so Hamlin now up into the 3rd spot.
Eric Jones showing some good speed in that 43 car today. Watched him early in the race drive through some of the cars in the back half of the field. Thought if he got this track position, they might be able to hang on to it, but he's got some tough competition around him as Reddick closes in on the back bumper and goes to the bottom of the racetrack.
And just moments ago, Parker was able to chat with Josh Berry after he got out of the car and was out of the infield care center. Here was that interview.
Josh Berry released from the infield care center here, had that incident down at turn 3 and 4. Any warning that the car was coming around?
Yeah, no idea. Just wild restarts here and just trying to learn as much as I can, and just got loose there, backed in the wall. So just hate it that we didn't get to run all the laps today because that was the main goal. Traffic or just aero effects or just no warning, just leaking mechanical grip? Yeah, really, I'd have to go back and watch it. Obviously, it can be it's a lot to learn here with everything going on back there. So I'll just go back and look and learn and see what I can do better.
Here comes Bell, looking to take the lead away from Bowman.
Been able to get on the low side of the 48, but just not able to get up alongside of him right here, though. Look at him trying to side draft just a little bit. It's going to be able to pull him up alongside. Bowman's going to come down the racetrack, try to do the same thing. Going to be able to race off into turn one. Oh, Christopher Bell spinning.
And will he collect anyone? He gets into the wall. Caution comes out. Bell fighting for the lead. Spins on his own, and into the wall he goes.
He was trying to drive.
We're rolling, guys.
He was trying to drive into turn one, just take the line away, right? And the 48 of Bowman was not having it. Two drivers going for the same piece of racetrack. Denny Hamlin fast approaching on both those drivers. I don't know if that disrupted the air around either one of them, but just two guys wanting to maintain that lead.
I'm pretty sure it's killed.
And that clean air.
It's so unique to this racetrack for some reason. Watch Christopher Bell drives, to the door, kind of overdrives a little bit as he enters the corner. Watch this right here. So the 48 gets a run. Bell up the racetrack trying to take the line away, and again, a little bit of contact, really close together, and around he goes. And we haven't been seeing this with this car. This is very unique. Normally when these cars get side by side, there isn't a problem with the inside car, but today, with this tire, this racetrack, it has been a challenge for drivers. We've seen this multiple times, and I just think it's catching them by surprise.
While we talk about the right rear quarter panel on these cars not being as straight as the old car, they still do rely on side force around that door right in front of that rear tire. And you wonder if when they get side by side, pretty much even with each other, if the car on the inside does start from a little side force, there is contact. That's one thing we're seeing in both incidents today that's brought cars around in turn 1 and 2. But I have to imagine that they're, if they are already on edge and you drop just a little side force out of that car on the inside, if that's some of the product of what we're seeing. But also, I think the 20 is just trying to take the line away. He went into the corner basically running the traditional line to not give the 48 the opportunity to be able to stay there, Marty.
Well, and Dell Jr., to Jeff's point, just think about the names that have spun today on their own. Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, Christopher Bell, some of the best car control in the garage area. Bell going to try and make repairs as the rest of the field comes to pit road, Parker.
At the top of your screen there, the 43 of Eric Jones. Very happy that race car. It's going to be 4 Goodyear tires for him. And at the middle of your screen, Alex Bowman off the outside there of Christopher Bell when he went around. You see that adjustment. He's been building loose just right sides, Marty.
Of late, Denny Hamlin's pit crew has been one of the best on pit road. They'll see if they can gain him one spot here. Comes in second, so the car was pretty good. Needs a little better fire off, but that's it. So the 11 team putting on 4 fresh Goodyear tires here. A lot of teams, though, with a little different strategy. Some 2 tires, some fuel only, kind of all over the map there, Rick.
Yeah, Bowman, 2-tire stop. Truex and Reddick didn't take fresh tires on this one. Around goes the 20. Look at the names that are out. Busch, Elliott, Byron, and now possibly Bell. Thursday, September 7th, the NFL season kicks off as the Detroit Lions are going to face the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs at Arrowhead Stadium. That's only on NBC and Peacock. You're watching the Firekeepers Casino 400 on USA. And already we have seen some crazy things happening with playoff contenders. Let's go to the Peacock pit box and DJ and Brad.
Well, Brad, this has been something to watch. We talk about the best drivers in the business right here and what we've seen so far, and we talked about the high speeds. Jeff Burton said it many times, when these things are good until they're not. And we saw Kyle Busch get things started off right here trying to make a pass on Ryan Blaney.
Yeah, I've been surprised. These guys are losing these race cars with minimal contact. Just going into the corner and the car just seems to turn around. Of course, we saw Chase Elliott lose a rear tire there, getting to the fence. That was unexpected. He said he didn't expect that to happen at all. And then William Byron, just out of the blue, loses control of the race car and gets up into the fence. I don't know, there's some weirdness going on around the pressure of these race cars, like Steve was saying.
Yeah, high speed, and right here, our pole sitter and going for the lead, Christopher Bell, that brought out this latest caution. I don't think that we're finished seeing this type of thing because of the speed, the difficulty of driving this racetrack, and there's so much on the edge. And guys, I'll just let you know, I could probably tell you who the next 3 cautions are going to be, because that would end all of my fantasy drivers.
Well, DJ, I will be first to tell you that I have 3 in my lineup that are currently out of the race. So we could have an issue today. And it's getting a little bit crazy too as we look at the radar and the weather. That could come back into play here.
Yeah, there's a small cell, but you know, we already have a delay, so one more rain shower could get us you know, to official. And remember, official in this race is then to stage 2 or halfway. So today it would be halfway, lap 100. 68 laps complete. And I didn't think the intensity could go up, but it might, I guess.
It's possible. Tyler Reddick is on the inside. Alex Bowman is going to restart on the outside with Martin Truex Jr. behind him. Kyle Larson behind Reddick as we get ready to go back to green flag racing. Moving out of line, we saw Eric Jones in the 43. Bowman now chasing after Reddick as Reddick has taken the lead away from him.
And out the window from Alex Bowman, not sure what that was in reference to. Teammate behind him.
Maybe he didn't get as big a push as he wanted from Kyle Larson.
Oh, look, contact right there between the 7 and 12. More contact.
A lot of lane changes. Now, how aggressive will this group be?
You know, Blaney's got a short fuse.
7 up the racetrack.
Harrison Burton in that 21 moving forward. A little bit farther forward, here's Larson trying to work to the outside of the 19 of Martin Truex Jr., but he's able to drift up in front of him, take that air off the nose.
Blaney is making more contact down the front straightaway with the 7. Got on the outside of him, drove down the racetrack. Still upset about what happened back there a lap ago.
And another aggressive move by Ross Chastain behind him as we see him now get close to the back bumper of Ryan Blaney.
So this is just a little bit of retaliation here as he gets to the outside. No, this is the first accident. This is the first little situation. So Blaney gets to the outside, 7 gets loose, they make contact, and this is just after that, a lap later. And Blaney, he's like, I'm mad at you, man. I'll let you know.
He came.
Copy, ran in 1 and 2.
Oh, and now we're hearing a little bit of precipitation in 1 and 2. That's from the south end of this track.
Riding on board here, we'll see. Daniel Suarez, Coke Zero, Sugar Camera.
Copy, yep, they're all yelling up here. Copy.
A little sprinkle happening down there in 1 and 2.
Starting to sprinkle on the front stretch. I'll give you the earliest warning I can.
I'll give you the earliest warning I can as we see Eric Jones once again to the inside now as he tries to get by Austin Cindric. They go into turn 1. Brad Keselowski also in that 6 right in front of Austin Dillon. And caution has come out. We'll see if that's for NASCAR. And precipitation. Don't see anyone spun around on the racetrack, so we believe this is for weather.
So much speed here, you know, over 200 miles per hour.
And it's just such a large facility, right, Jeff? I mean, we're standing here at the start-finish line, but, you know, over there off turn 2, you just can't miss it, right? I mean, everybody wishes we could go back and do that Daytona race where the rain caused the big wreck. Well, the only thing you can do is try not to make the same mistake. So as frustrating as this is for all of us, especially the fans sitting in the stands with 25 laps to go to halfway, I think is what they have to do. This is what I was talking about. Down into turn 1, rain on the window, rain on the camera, and it's, I don't know, 15, 20. I mean, everyone in the entire front half of the field. The only car that gets through is Austin Dillon, or at least the only car of the front 6 or 8 rows.
Yeah, Steve, after this, NASCAR looked at how do they do it better? And so they put spotters essentially outside of the racetrack, further away from the racetrack, so they can sense and see the rain before it gets here. They actually have worked with some sensing devices to try to put around the facility, but have decided, hey, look, let's just put people out there. They start seeing it come in. Let's throw the caution before the rain gets to the racetrack. That was in response to this, and also New Hampshire. We had a similar situation in New Hampshire. They dropped the green flag. It started raining in turn 1, you know, after 2 times, and multiple times throughout the sport's history. How can you do it better and a change to that process?
A little bit of a cell building from the southwest of the racetrack as we ride along with the DoorDash Bubba Wallace, that onboard camera, and you can see a little more of the precipitation that's on the camera lens.
And they're all still required to save fuel.
Yeah, Alex Bowman and the Ally on board.
They're coasting on the pit road.
Yeah, he's got to shut down.
Yeah.
So they're bringing him onto pit road. As there is rain picking up in 1 and 2.
Yeah, the turn 1 and 2 is, I think the center of the corner's pretty damp.
So for the second time today, they have been brought onto pit road after they had been on the track, and precipitation has brought them onto pit road. We'll see if they bring the covers out.
I'm always interested to see where the drivers, if they do have to get out of the car, who they go talk to at this point, because now you've had chances to run into a bunch of people, be run into yourself, get cut off, cut some people off, you know, so now it's like.
They want to keep our eye on that 12 of Ryan Blaney.
Well, I will tell you, if I wrote down everybody that cut everybody off, I'd be out of ink by now. I mean, it is the level of acceptable aggression. It shocks me. This is what, year 9 here on NBC, sitting up in this booth watching racing here at Michigan, and every year these restarts get more and more intense, and this year's no different.
Yeah. You see the 20 of Christopher Bell. He was at the back of that second line. A lot of damage to the back of that, but he was out on track. Another caution for precipitation here at Michigan. We're going to try it again. Over 19 hours of red flag and about ready to get the green flag here in Michigan. 81 laps are complete of a 200-lap race, 119 still to go. 38 will be remaining in stage 2. Green flag is back in the air. Top 2, door to door as they come out of 2.
Even with 2 off to the 23. Still hanging at your door.
Bubba Wallace to the inside here, 3 wide down the back straightaway. He's going to clear into the lead.
A huge run for Bubba Wallace, and he takes the lead at Michigan. Brad Keselowski in the 6th trying the same move on the bottom of the racetrack.
Here comes Mark Truex Jr. back on the outside. Big run down the front straightaway on that outside line. Brad Keselowski trying to hold him up as much as possible.
Denny Hamlin in the 11 also running that lower line. Eric Jones has fallen back to 5th or 6th now.
Here comes Eric Jones. Going to drive to the inside here, 3 wide down the back straightaway.
Keselowski blocking him all the way down to that white line, but Jones makes the pass on both of them.
And Brad's still stuck on the inside of the 2 car here. Wiggled by the 17 car Busher back there as he loses a spot.
You can see as soon as they clear, they try to jump in that outside line. Nobody wants to get blocked on the bottom. Denny Hamlin now in that green car, he's on the bottom. If he's got to find a way to get back to the top.
Oh man, Brad at the 2, really close right there.
Good drift for Denny Hamlin. He was able to stay right on the bottom and gain a little bit of ground on Keselowski, but now not the same momentum as the cars that were on his outside as he falls back just a bit. Suarez there holding his spot.
Brad had to get out of the gas big time right there with Suarez on his outside.
What's Hamlin going to do? Is he going to jump on the outside? There he goes. He's going to fill that hole. Did not want Harrison Burton to get on the outside of him.
Bubba Wallace now under attack from the 19 of Martin Truex Jr.
I think it's safe to say for the first 86 laps of the race, there'd be no argument that 19 of Truex has the fastest car. Now, can they do all the right things on pit road and from behind the wheel to execute for the final 115 laps of this race?
And a lot of the cars that didn't come to pit road, they're shooting for around lap 100, right, Steve?
They're going to run all the way to the end of this stage. The cars that didn't come to pit road are going to try to finish this stage. They're going to run the next 35 laps. They're probably 1 or 2 laps short, so it's going to be all about part throttle when you can. The 19, though, is not worried about saving fuel. It looks to me like he's looking for the lead.
Closes the gap all the way to the bumper and then falls back. You see 4 car lengths separating the top 2. As Bowman trying to get by, he's going to get a little shove from his teammate now as Larson pushes him, tries to get him by Ryan Preece in that 41. The 4 of Harvick in the picture, running in the 19th spot.
Bowman's going to have to get right back behind his 41 car as he fails to pass him on the front straightaway. Here comes the 5 to the inside. He's able to clear Bowman down into turn 1. He'll slide up in front of him. Actually, he does at the 48. Comes on the outside. He's going to take that spot back, Marty.
As you watch the battle further back, also the battle for the lead. To answer your question, Rick, yes, there were enough caution laps for those that did not pit there when they went back green or before they went back green. They can make it all the way to the end of stage 2. Unless you're out front like Bubba Wallace, that is a 2-lap penalty for leading out front. You burn so much more fuel, Steve, when you're out front leading the race than you do further back in the pack. So leading is great, but it's also a penalty for your fuel.
Yeah, I mean, basically, you're pushing the air. I mean, the 19 would like to have clean air in the corners, but right here down the straightaway, the 19, it's like following a tractor trailer down the interstate. The 23's breaking the air. He's kind of just towing along with them.
See Eric Jones closing in on this lead battle in that 43 car. They're having an incredible run today. Was 8th in this race the last time we were here in Michigan. His last top 5 finish was his Darlington win. That's pretty incredible. It's been a long time since this 43 car's had anything to be excited about. They've shown some good speed today.
You see on the left side of your screen the progressive telemetry of Martin Truex Jr. saw 200 miles an hour as he entered turn 1. What will we see here into turn 3? 195, 196.
The other thing is, watch his throttle. He's actually a little bit of part throttle at the end of the back stretch. We'll watch down the front stretch. Obviously wide open here, but will he kind of roll out a little early to save some gas? It looked like he did on the back straightaway. Yeah, there you go. 3/4 throttle right there. 197 down to half throttle. So he could close up on the back bumper of the 23 and try to pass. But what he's going to do is take the last third of the straightaway, back off the throttle, stop burning gas, let the toe, the draft, just pull him up to that 197 mark. There you go. Much less than wide open throttle.
See if he can complete the 30 laps to go in this stage.
43-year-old race car driver in that 19 car. still very fast, can win races, and he also does it with his brain. And that's a great example right there. Understanding the situation he's in, sitting there in second place, trying to save a little fuel, keep himself in position. His eye is on the big prize here. It's winning the race. It's not leading this particular lap.
So now we'll look at the telemetry on Bubba Wallace, the lead car. He too not full throttle down the straightaway. That is really interesting. So, and he can do that.
In the lead, we are probably about 1 short, so just manage it when you can.
So there's the good information, but he can do this because you know what? He's watching that 19 car. His crew's watching what the 19's doing. They know he is also saving. They know that he's going to sit there and ride as long as Bubba runs a reasonable speed in front of him. So with that information, Steve, that they now have on top of the pit box, they can tell their driver with confidence, hey, save a little bit. The guy behind you is running 3/4 throttle, half throttle.
Yeah, they just build a math equation in the computer. They look at time at wide open throttle, time at certain percentages. They know how much fuel they're burning. I think this is fascinating because you think these guys are out here just driving as absolute hard as they can, but they are so much more calculated than that, right? They are totally in control of not just the speed of their car, but also managing tires and fuel burn. It's amazing what these guys can do at 199 miles an hour.
Bubba led a career high 80 laps last week at Richmond and continues to add to his laps led this season. And they're already conserving fuel, or at least trying to get to the end of stage 2, which is 27 laps away. The official app of NASCAR Tracks has the latest race and event information from your favorite tracks, which might be Michigan right here. Search NASCAR Tracks in the App Store to download for free, and you can start using it today. You're watching NASCAR Cup Series racing presented by Golden Corral as the laps wind down in stage 2, just 22 still remaining. And out front is Bubba Wallace. We're seeing a little bit of movement there out of Denny Hamlin, Brad Keselowski. They're running 5th and 6th currently. There's the gap between Bubba and the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. And it's been interesting because Martin Truex Jr. has gotten right up to the bumper of that 23 of Bubba Wallace, but he hasn't passed him. And we saw earlier with the telemetry how they were running 3/4 throttle, even half throttle.
Keep doing what you've been doing for about 10 more will be good. About 10 more will be good.
There you go. The information from the pit box that says, hey, we need 10 more laps of that, and we're going to be good on fuel. Let's remember, with Bubba Wallace leading, that puts him into the playoffs. But even if he can't win the race, a top 10, even better, a first or a second in this stage is a huge points, accumulation. That's 9 or 10 points for a driver that is trying to build a gap before he has to go to the road courses over the next 2 weeks.
Hearing on the radio, the 11 was told that he's good on fuel, so we'll see if he'll take advantage of that as Truex going for the lead now goes to the bottom, and he'll be out front.
Guess who heard that Hamlin was good on fuel? That was the 19 of Truex. Hamlin's 5 positions back, and he knows, it's kind of this cat and mouse game. Who turns the wick up first, right? Well, Martin Truex Jr. has decided that he's now going to lead, and that blue car is going to get smaller out the front windshield of Bubba Wallace.
Bubba talking about the balance of his car. A little bit free. A little issue for the 14 down in turn 1 and 2. Handful of laps ago, the 10 of Almirola slides up in front of him, and this is the air. Let's see the car get loose almost before Eric gets right in front of him. The 14 just has a little bit of a bobble back in, stepping out.
And now Briscoe, after that little bobble, is running in the 27th position. Past the halfway point, 101 laps complete.
You heard Marty say that leading was a 2-lap penalty. So now if you're Bubba Wallace, even though he was a little bit part throttle at the end of the straightaways, he's probably thinking, all right, now it's my turn. I need to save some fuel. Going to work behind this 19. Eric Jones, Suarez, and Hamlin also trying to save some gas, but last lap by, Denny Hamlin was the fastest car on the racetrack.
Dave Ellens calling the shots on the 43 for Eric Jones, Kim.
Yeah, and I talked to Dave on the hauler this morning and kind of asked what they were thinking about this race, and they said, we feel like we have a car that can win. Now, it's Dave Ellens, so it was tempered excitement. It looks like we have a caution for the 41.
Yeah, the 41 in turn 2 looks like he might have got up into the wall, and you see a lot of damage on the back of that car. He was running 23rd.
I think he's all right damage-wise. I believe he just got a right rear tire going down. He recognized that right away going off into turn 1. Slowed the car down. Didn't get into the fence at all, but that's the second tire that we've seen today. The second right rear tire we've seen today fail. This was an issue with this car last year. I feel like a lot of the teams had understood what to do to avoid this, but now we've had 2 today. So teams may be getting close to that sort of, getting close on air pressure that may be dangerous, as far as trying to find speed in this car.
Steve, this is a lot better result than what happened with Chase Elliott yesterday.
Well, either timing, awareness, got a little fortunate to the field, but great job, as Dale pointed out, that Ryan Preece did not to have more damage. Marty.
Yeah, you can see that right rear down for Ryan Preece, and they had debated on trying to stay out and not lose any extra time here, but then said, hey, the damage is just too much here. They didn't want to tear up that right rear panel there. So, Steve, what is going on? We saw Chase Elliott have an issue with the right rear yesterday. Why right rear issues for these race teams?
Well, I think there's a lot to discuss there about air pressure, but first let's cover who comes to pit road and who doesn't. Inside 100 to go. This is a major moment in the fuel window. One stop from here, or do you want to stay out for stage points? Kim.
And Martin Truex Jr.'s crew chief James Small is going with that plan. One stop from here. You see the crew go to the right side. Martin overall pretty happy with that race car. It will be 4 fresh tires, Sunoco fuel, Marty, as Denny Hamlin makes a stop.
And Kim, Steve nailed it. That's what the call is for also his teammate Denny Hamlin. They are coming down pit road with 4 fresh Goodyear tires here. Actually just going to be 2 tires here waiting on the fuel for Denny Hamlin. So yes, that makes it 1 more stop for these teams. And Denny can't get the car going. Don't know if it's stalled in the stall, and now it won't move any further. So Wow, Denny Hamlin with some issues, who had one of the better cars here, as the team watches helplessly as Denny sits on pit road.
You see it's not running with the flames coming out of the headers there.
So now he's trying to get this thing cranked up. There's nothing the team could do. They could go get him and push him back into the stall. Probably switching through and resetting the ECU, the electronic, or the engine control unit. It's electronic. There it is, fired off, but damage already done. 11 and Denny Hamlin came in running 5th. Everyone didn't come to pit road, but of the cars that did, he will be the last off.
He'll be at the back of the longest line there, really, because the last off and those that stayed out are going to be in front of him. So a difficult pit stop for the 11 of Denny Hamlin. Bubba Wallace out front for the restart. You're watching the Firekeepers Casino 400 on USA. Getting ready for the restart. 105 laps are complete. Only 95 to go in the race. And Steve, you mentioned when that pit window is between 48 and 51 laps. Those cars that came to pit road now, they think one more pit stop, they can get all the way to the end.
That's absolutely right. So even though we know that there's a stage finish coming and there are points awarded, you see why, right? Look at the guys that stayed out. Bubble drivers, Wallace, Suarez, Keselowski. We don't talk about a bubble driver, but he's not locked in. He's thinking points. I think Chastain might be thinking, hey, I could go win a stage and get a playoff point. But then guys down here at 104, Eric Jones, Cindric, Truex, all of those cars from here, one more pit stop to the end of the race. So, you know, when we keep talking about track position, how do you get track position? Well, this is the way, right? So all of those 104 laps, they know everyone in front of them will pit in 15 laps when this stage comes to an end. They'll just kind of leapfrog them on the racetrack, priority-wise for the others, though. And I like this call for the 23. I know you want track position, but do not lift. Don't look that gift horse in the mouth. There's points available right now. You don't know what could happen in that final stage. If Bubba Wallace can win and get 10 points here, that would be huge, right? He finished second in the first stage. He could get 19 points just in the stages. 2311 will be on the outside and Trackhouse Racing on the inside of front row. Kim.
And although the top lane has been the preferred, there was a conversation between Travis Mack, the crew chief, on Daniel Suarez's car and his driver. What do we do here? And they just think clean air is absolutely going to be king. If they could get their teammate to go with them, get a good push, they think they have something for the 23. Ross in line behind his teammate. We'll see what these Trackhouse Racing cars can do on this restart.
Let's listen into the 6 of Brad Keselowski, some radio communications.
Obviously, you know, we can make it to the end of the stage. We'll have to take our lumps at the stage. I'm not sure that's a negative, but just making you aware right now. Yeah, I'm cool.
So let's just take a look at the points, right? So Bubba Wallace is leading. So it's a little misleading because that's assuming he's going to win the race as well. But Allmendinger's now a point in. Suarez a point out. McDowell having that damage, 4 below. I'm telling you, this guy, Alex Bowman, he's currently sitting at -20. He's riding 7th on the racetrack. These are the moments that this 48, we got to see something out of this 48, right? He has not had the year since returning from injury they're looking for. He needs to go capitalize and beat some of these cars. All the bubble cars are right here in front of him.
It'll be 13 to go once they take the green flag. Pace car makes its way back onto pit road. Field back in the hands of Bubba Wallace in the 23. He's back into the gas. Gonna get a shove from the 6 of Keselowski. Not enough help for Suarez on that inside line, but he dives in very deep.
Got a car up almost in the wall here, the 3 of Austin Dillon.
Almost wonder if he had a tire going down or something.
They stay side by side. Suarez went really deep into turn 1 and now into turn 3, and he's going to clear the 23. Suarez leading in Michigan.
There's a good restart for Bowman. He must have heard you, Steve, telling him to get up there and get a few spots right there in 4th place.
I love it. I love the aggression, right? If you want to make the playoffs, you got to kind of take some points at sometimes, more than just earn them. And right now he can earn them and take them away from the people he's trying to race.
Logano's going to get a shove here from Larson in the 5. Pushes him by the 16 of Allmendinger. Ross Chastain in the 1 on the bottom of the track, trying to make some moves in that star and stripe paint color. Take a look at what happened with Austin Dillon here on the restart.
He's in that outside lane, headed down into turn, and got loose, maybe thinking he's got a tire problem. He comes to pit road just as the field goes by. He's going to lose a lap. There he is, blending back into traffic, Marty.
Yeah, Junior, it was a right side tire that was down for Austin Dillon, so that's another one we can add to the list. He had that on the restart, caught it before it hit the wall, but they did come down and change the right side just a moment ago, as you mentioned, Junior.
We know the teams try to run as close as they can, air pressure-wise, to be able to find speed, but it also gets, puts that tire in a bad situation, and when there's heavy loads and a lot of corners and a lot of corner speed, this is cooler temps, higher corner speeds, big loads, long corners. Steve, that might be causing the problems today.
Yeah, there's some physical limits with the shock bottoming out that won't let the back of the car get as low as you want it. The lower the back of the car, actually more downforce you make with the diffuser. As you see Chris Buescher making a big move on the 47. Some tough racing back here with Ty Gibbs and the 12 of Blaney. So you actually just let a little air out of the tire and the tire squishes. And the car, even though mechanically can't get lower suspension-wise, it just squishes the tire and gets that diffuser lower to the ground.
Truex Jr. battling back here after coming to pit road on lap 104. Now he's already up to the 8th position in that number 19. We would not expect him to be on pit road when the caution comes out for the end of stage 2. Those of you that are playing fantasy, remember you've got about 9 laps to change your garage driver out if that's an option.
Denny Hamlin trying to work his way back through the pack. It's going to go around the 43 of Eric Jones here. He's up about 11 or 12 spots since the start. After losing all of those positions on pit road, the 5 takes a spot away from Logano, moving into 5th position behind his teammate Bowman. Truex getting another spot there around the 16.
Hamlin, after the problems on pit road, he's trying to get past the 4 of Harvick. Harvick muscling by on the outside.
Well, and Hamlin has recovered well. He's up to 17th. So you mentioned that issue on pit road is now true. That's what makes this 19 so good. Not only does it roll the middle of the corner, but then look at this, Junior. He can carry enough exit speed from the bottom to pull up in lane and start catching the 5 car in front of him.
He's the only one that can just slice up through the field like that. Everybody else is a dogfight. Truex just turns underneath guys and is able to have the grip and just roll right by them. I don't see anybody else that has the ability to do what he can do.
No, that'd be a chat I'd have to have with my driver to be like, hey man, look, that's not around a wedge or a shot click away. Whatever he has, we're gonna have to go home and work on, because that's not just car balance.
Big move by Buescher there in the 17 on the lower part of your screen. We saw him move out of the way behind Ross Chastain, take that spot. I don't think anybody thought that Truex could come to pit road on lap like 102 and potentially win this stage, but look at what he's doing, how fast he's moving through with now under 6 laps to go. And Truex 2.5 or a little over 2.5 seconds back. Won't be able to get up to the front, but still an impressive surge back to the front.
You mentioned Chastain, a car we thought would have a strong day today, and he's lost about 7 spots since the restart. He's got a couple cars here closing in on him. Take a few more spots away from this 1 car.
You see how aggressive they're getting. Saw Blaney pulled right up in front of Ty Gibbs. Ty had good momentum on him, and he just said, to heck with you. I'm coming up here. I need this outside lane. You're going to lift or we're going to wreck. And that's what we talk about, driver etiquette. That's what's different today.
Marty.
Well, it wasn't a very good Sunday for Kevin Harvick, but Monday's a little bit better, said the car has improved. They're really struggling, though, on restarts as you ride on board with Kevin Harvick with the Hunt Brothers camera on board the 4-car. He said the restarts are so tough, he just loses so many spots, but eventually they start recovering, and we're also seeing Harvick, when he can, run that higher line, using that grip that is up in the top of the racetrack. Harvick, how many times have we seen him improve as the race goes on, Jeff? Seems like almost every week they make the car better, and they're always around in stage 3.
Yeah, I never count them out. They're going to keep fighting and clawing. They just don't know the word quit. See Hamlin continue to trying to make that inside work. Now this group could be 3 wide off the corner. No, they actually, the 12 got really tight on corner exit there. Look at the run that Gibbs is getting because of that.
Ty Gibbs in the 54, tucked in behind the 12, but the 11 of Denny Hamlin going in front of Blaney. Listen into his radio.
Currently we're 15. We'll restart about 8. I am trying. I'm doing everything I can. I know. I'm telling you to mitigate risk. I'm okay where we're at.
Okay, so here you have it. That's a conversation between driver and crew chief. Denny Hamlin sees all these cars in front of him. He says, I have to pass them all. I have to get to the front. And Chris Gabehart is saying, no, you do not. Most of those guys are coming to pit road. I know you want to chase the 19 down, but forget about the 19 for a minute. As he drives to the inside of Bubba Wallace. If you look in front of the 11, you know, I have 3, maybe 5 cars that are going to stay out on fuel, so that's where he says mitigate risk. Let's not wreck this thing. Get to the end of the stage, line up in the front 4 rows, and we'll race the final stage.
Bubba Wallace has to be scratching his head saying, wait a second, he stopped on lap 100 and now he's already passing me for the 3rd spot?
Bubba Wallace and every other driver and crew chief in the field that see the lap times of that 19. How about Brad Keselowski? Saw his teammate, the car that he owns of Chris Buescher, go to victory lane a week ago. We know Brad wants to win.
Daniel Suarez leading this stage. Remember, he came in 34 points behind that cut line out of the playoffs. Got 5 stage points in stage 1, and now looking to win this stage. This could be a huge day for Daniel.
They got the 19 car Truex all over the back of him now.
Look at the 19. He came to pit road on lap 102, and now look at this. The possibility exists he could win the stage.
Daniel needs to recognize that that 19 car is just faster. And how aggressive do you get right here? Don't overdrive this thing. Even if you get 8 stage points instead of 10, it's still a huge gain.
Here comes Truex high on the high side. Daniel's going to squeeze him. Truex to the inside down the front straightaway.
Tries to side draft him, and he'll do it. Truex is going to win the stage. What a run for the 19 team. Sweep stage 1 and 2.
That was pretty good racing.
My goodness. Martin Truex Jr., Suarez, Keselowski, Wallace, Bowman, the top 5. Larson, Logano, Allmendinger, Cindric, and Buescher all gaining stage points, finishing in the top 10. He looked high. Suarez closed the door. He goes down low, side drafts, and just clears him at the line. 15 one-thousandths of a second. The new movie Gran Turismo is based on a true story, only in theaters August 25th, and tickets are on sale now. Beautiful Irish hills of Michigan as we are watching the NASCAR Cup Series racing presented by Golden Corral. 2 stages complete, getting ready for the final stage and pit stops that some will be making here now that stage 2 is done. Strategy-wise, Steve, who's in the best shape?
Well, you know what makes a good strategy is a rocket ship of a race car. So I think Martin Truex Jr. is in the best shape on both sides of that. I think he has enough fuel to only stop one more time. He has the fastest race car. They may come down and just fill it up with fuel to make sure the next pit stop under green isn't slow with how much fuel they're going to have. And that's what you're seeing here. Some guys staying out because they have enough fuel. Some will come just take a quick splash. Others need a lot. Kim.
Let's follow Daniel Swords' stop at the top first. He was reporting it was free, even in traffic. Felt like it did in practice. 4-tire Sunoco fuel. You're right, Martin Truex Jr. electing to come down just to make sure their last fuel stop was going to be shorter. Just right side tires for that rocket ship of Martin Truex Jr., Marty.
And to that point, Brad Keselowski said that 19 is just unreal. That was all I had. He said, though we did get better the longer we ran. As crew chief Matt McCall said, listen, we're going to pay a big price here. We're going to have to wait a long time on fuel. Don't get frustrated, but he leaves, and they have earned so many stage points today. That's going to be a massive benefit for the 6 cars.
Again, Keselowski finishing in the top 5 there. Truex, you know, he swept the stages here in 2017, but he only finished 6th. He's looking to do quite a bit better today.
It's time to bring the action. Jed Lawrence aboard his Honda HRC machine. Jed Lawrence setting sail the way he has all year long. We're looking at 16-0 for the number 18. Unbelievable. Has still yet to lose a race in a 450. And this is all leading to the first ever Super Motocross World Championship playoffs.
Steve, what a year it's been for the 19-year-old Australian sensation, Jed Lawrence.
Yeah, he started the year on the 250s in the Supercross, which that's like in the arenas, what you would expect, the high-flying Supercross. He went ahead and won that 250 championship, and then said, well, I'm going to move to the 450s when we go to Pro Motocross. in the outdoors, and he's going to basically go undefeated at the moment, 16-0, so he's looking to win that. And then you heard, right, the Super Pro Motocross, the big championship at the end of the year. It's going to be so much. But I'm going to tell you, as a 19-year-old, you talk about stars. He's got the talent. He's got the swagger. It's going to be here. We got James Stewart and Ricky Carmichael on the call. I got to go to Nashville and hang out with those two. They knew way back when that this guy was going to be special. They know how to pick talent because, man, Jet Lawrence is impressive. Yeah, two of the GOATs will be calling. And, again, that all starts at 1 p.m. Eastern on Peacock, then on NBC at 3 p.m. Jeff, what about the points that they've earned this race so far?
Well, the big race so far, Bubba Wallace, he was in good shape, but not great shape in points, but has gained 16. Suarez was behind. He's gained 14. Gibbs, 8. I thought they gave up an opportunity. That strategy did not work out as well at the end of stage 2, but still 8 points. Some guys gaining, some guys losing, Kim.
And with the different strategies, Chris Buescher, last week's winner, resumes the lead. They do have to stop one more time. It will be a longer stop, but that's what last week's win did for this team. They can try different things on strategy. Right now, Chris, very happy with the race car. Just like yesterday told us, he feels like he does not have to back down his commitment, can do what he wants with the car, Marty.
Kim, all the focus has been on Martin Truex Jr. here. Clearly has the best car, but don't count out his teammate Denny Hamlin yet. Despite stalling the car on pit road, they are 12th coming to that choose, and they also are 3rd on the strategy that they're on with their teammate Martin Truex Jr. Denny said even after that stall, quote, "We have a rocket ship. I just have to manage it." The 11 looks almost as good as the 19, Rick. Not quite, though.
The 17 on the outside of Buescher, the 45 of Reddick on the inside, both getting a push. The 12 of Brian Blaney pushing Buescher, and the 21 of Harrison Burton pushing Reddick. And look at Harvick up here as well in that orange number 4.
Harvick's been able to make that top groove work. I've watched him back in traffic using some of that resin. Oh, we got a crash down the back straightaway. Looks like Alex Bowman's around.
Yeah, big contact there. Alex Bowman slammed into the side of another car too. So he may have had some contact from someone else, but Bowman goes around, and now 3 of the Hendrick cars have been involved with issues.
Yeah, and Alex Bowman was trying to climb his way back into this playoff conversation with points.
See, the right rear tire is down for Bowman.
Something was happening. The 38 looked like he was backing up, and then all of a sudden,
38's got a looks like a right rear tire flat. So there's the 38. Gonna get squeezed into the wall right there
by Michael McDowell, teammate.
And I believe the 48 may have gotten contact from the left rear.
Yeah, maybe his teammate.
Maybe.
The 5, possibly. Take another look.
So top of the screen, 38's coming up off the corner. Oh, the 2 did not know they were 3 wide, shoves McDowell into his teammate, and then, yeah, Bowman gets contact from, I believe, the 14.
I agree. They were 3 wide with Larson on the inside, and the 14 didn't really have anywhere to go.
3. We'll run ahead.
That's just when you're 2 and 3 wide on these restarts. I mean, what are you going to do? I think you are right, though, Dale. I think it all starts with the 6 doesn't realize he is, excuse me, I think it's
2.
Cindric, the 2 doesn't realize he is 3 wide, and he gets both front row cars kind of pushed up.
Yeah.
So right here at the top of the screen, you see the white number 2. They're going to split the 34.
Now the 2 doesn't know the 38's out there. He thinks he's just got the 38 there, or the 34 there. So he squeezes the 34 into his teammate across the nose. Bowman just trying to get out of the way. Ends up getting turned around, losing control. Kim?
And the 5 of Kyle Larson on pit road. Didn't have their radio on, was listening to the 48. We'll check in if this was part of their strategy plan or something else, as Bubba Wallace also making a stop.
The restarts are wild, you know, 3 wide and all of that. But getting in trouble, you know, these guys are getting in trouble, squeezing each other in the fence. We've seen a lot of aero issues as well, creating problems for cars and big runs coming from behind, and I think it's just going to continue to this final stage.
Bowman's trying to figure out if he can get pulled back into pits, see if they can do work on that 48, but Caution coming out as Alex Bowman, he was 39 points from the bubble before that happened. Next weekend from the Brickyard, it's IndyCar and NASCAR on the road course. Saturday, 2 p.m. Eastern on USA and Peacock. It's IndyCar Series racing. That will be followed by the Xfinity Series race. And then Sunday, same time, but move to NBC. NASCAR Cup Series race takes place. And Shane Van Gisbergen, remember, he was on the street course at Chicago and wowed all of the NASCAR fans and those stock car fans here in the United States as the New Zealander came over and showed everyone how good he is at turning left and right. Well, he's back in the field. So yeah, SVG will be racing at Indy next weekend.
And a lot of rumors around what he's going to do next year, whether he's going to be involved in NASCAR, how much he'll be involved in NASCAR. He's coming to the Bojangles studio to be on the Dale Jr. Download. I can't wait to see what he'll tell me.
Yeah, that'll be really interesting, and also how he runs at Indy. A lot of people thought he had a massive advantage on a street course, first street course for the NASCAR drivers. Now he's going to Indy, a place where, you know, our guys have run a lot, but he's going to be competitive. He is a great road racer. He is going to be competitive. See Alex Bowman right here, 4 flat tires. They had to pull him back to the pit box. Steve, when you get 4 flat tires of these cars, they bottom out on the chassis and the car will not roll.
Yeah, so they have to be assisted back. This has been a lot of conversation about not only how you get back, but should you be in the race, should you be out of the race, if you need assistance. But now the 48 can finally get to work. Now they're on the damaged vehicle policy. They have 7 minutes, but it doesn't look like there's too much severe damage. They're going to look at the toe links. That's what the mechanics are doing right here. Body itself seems to be relatively well intact.
And Steve, I was watching the officials. The jackman was trying to put the jack under the car as they were getting ready to lower it from the tow truck, but the official said, no, you can't touch it until we disconnect from it because of that clock situation.
Well, because of clock and safety. They're not a big fan. They like the safety workers to do their job and the teams to do their job.
Seeing the first 3 choose the high line for the restart there.
I'm a bit surprised by Harvick's choice to go to the top sitting third in line, right? Now you're going to line up sixth. Hey, he's a champion and a winner here and knows what he's doing, but that's tempting to go ahead and line up on that inside line, and we've seen it work.
Yeah, Reddick tried. This lineup is exactly like it looked the time before. Reddick tried the bottom, and Harvick actually got by him. Reddick, you know he's not going to quit trying. He's going to try to make it happen. Marty.
Well, when caution almost immediately came out, Kevin Harvick said, I'm taking the top no matter what. And remember, the point you made a moment ago, he has really made the top work throughout runs, and restarts have been a struggle for Kevin Harvick. So trying to give himself every advantage he can get. The top four has worked better for Harvick today, so taking the top here, no doubt about it, in third, and decides to go all the way to the top, Kim.
And Kyle Larson with his second visit down pit road. They've already finished the service on that. That first visit was unscheduled. They wanted to make sure that he didn't get any damage in that incident. They said it mechanically looks good, physically it looks good. They did bring him back down to do one more kind of check. They put a little bit of tape on the left front fender, also filled it up with fuel.
Fuel's going to be a conversation for all of these guys with 69 to go. Everybody needs a pit stop. You're just trying to keep that pit stop as short as possible. As you see the 14 still getting repairs.
And there was a little bit of contact there with 48, sent him up into the wall.
Junior, you talked about Harvick picking that outside lane. So when we drop the green flag, just watch, not just the front rows, but watch back in the fourth, fifth, sixth rows, how chaotic it gets. When you get to the back straightaway, if you don't have forward momentum on the bottom, you need to try to find your way to the top, because these cars, they get so slow when they get bogged down on the bottom, down the back straightaway, they just line up on you and just go flying by you. But if you never make a chance the way Reddick is, then you never get in the front. So this is an opportunity for Reddick to try to do something. Harrison Burton behind him, teammate Cindric. We saw a lot of pushing the last restart, and I think that's only going to get more aggressive.
Yeah, I agree. The stage 3 restarts are always more intense in every single race that we have. And that's been uncharacteristic for Michigan all the way around. Cars crashing and guys losing control. Usually this is a, long green flag strategy, fuel mileage type of race. It's been anything but that yesterday and today. We're running out of cars though. Certainly the field's thinning out. And you have to wonder when this thing's going to settle in and be what we would come to expect at Michigan, Rick.
Yeah, 9 cautions already, Junior. 43 caution laps. Of course, a lot of that has been for weather that we saw yesterday. NASCAR fans, Fan Rewards is free to join. Earn points by watching racing. You can answer trivia, playing fantasy, buy race tickets, and more. You save those points, trade them in for free tickets or autographed merchandise. It's exclusive gear. Just visit NASCAR.com/fan rewards. And again, applaud the fans that have come back here on a Monday to watch the conclusion of this one, Marty.
Rick, maybe more damage for Chase Briscoe than we thought. It is knocked out of tow on the left front, and also the left rear toe link is broken, Richard Boswell tells me, so they're going to have to make that repair. Briscoe already a lap down in 32nd.
Field coming back out of turn 4, 2x2. Again, Reddick is on the inside, but it's Chris Buescher on the outside leading the field through the restart zone. '21 pushing Reddick as we see Ross Chastain jump out of line, making it 3 wide into turn 1.
So Reddick cleared. Now he's up in that outside line. Harrison Burton stuck on the bottom. Can he get behind Harvick? Does not feel like he can slide in there. That would have been an extremely aggressive move. And look at what happens. The outside line just starts piling up on you. And one of them being Truex, and getting in front of him is going to be very difficult. Now he is just stuck on the bottom. How bad would the damage be?
21 of Burton starting to fall back now. Oh, he found an opening right there in front of the one of Ross Chastain, but Ross Chastain said, well, I'll go bite you on the inside.
It's still the right move to make. If you don't make that move, the whole line's going to go by you. So, lined up in 5th, took an opportunity and went back to 10th.
And we'll see the Truex car on the inside. He has such a fast car that he has the guts to go to the bottom and see if it can work without losing positions. He's going to be able to try to clear the 2, not quite get it done. big run coming from behind. What do they do? Denny's going to go down here and try to help him. No, Denny's going to go 3 wide.
And Truex was side drafting that 2 of Cindric, and that allowed the 11 of Denny Hamlin to move up to his inside. Now Martin Truex Jr. powering by on the outside.
Yeah, Martin's making Denny regret that decision down the front straightaway as he sends Denny back a few cars. Truex will regroup, try to battle back, and try to go again at this number 2 of Cindric. Cindric way up the track there.
Now Martin has an opportunity to make it. They're not right behind him, so even if it doesn't work out, there's plenty of room to Eric Almirola. They're going to get to him at the corner, but this is where Martin's fast. He just overdrives the corner and easily gets in front of the 2 of Cindric. That's something that no one else has. I have not seen anyone with the capabilities, and when you are Cindric, when you're watching this happen, you're like, guys, I can't do this. I have no way to compete against this. I can't defend it, nor can I attack it.
Speaking of attack, we'll see how aggressive the 11 is on Denny Hamlin as we see Harvick and him doing a little side drafting with Blaney. The 2 Fords at a dead heat at the start-finish line. As Harvick stays to the inside, tries to slide in behind the 12 of Blaney and hold a little bit of that momentum, but
big run back here.
Yep, here comes Truex.
Yep. That hard racing between the 2 Fords kind of slowed them down off of 2. Easy pass for Truex to get the 4. Now look at Blaney drive down in front of that 19, take his air away. Truex has to go to the top to find clean air.
The ability to recover from that, though, I mean, you know, you would have thought Harvick would have been able to turn back underneath him and get alongside of him, but the ability to recover is really impressive. Look at that.
But that's what's new with this car, is the ability that the drivers have to see behind them and move in the corner, drive down in front of the car that's behind them. Because they know how bad that dirty air is. Air coming underneath that splitter in the center of the splitter and going back to the diffuser. When you shut that off for the car behind you, it's a great defense to be able to maintain that position.
For third, Martin Truex Jr. fighting with Blaney as on the top of the screen. We see the fight for the lead, and Reddick about 4 car lengths now behind the 17 of Buescher. We'll see how hard he throws it into turn 3.
How about Buescher? I mean, think about what they did at Richmond. Really had the fastest car the whole race, dominated that race. Now here he is leading again. Talk about RFK and the resurgence of Roush Racing. We're accustomed to seeing in the past Roush Racing dominate races. Went on a long slump, and now here they are back leading races and potentially contending for this championship.
Truex back to the bottom of the 12 here in the middle of 1 and 2. It's going to be side by side coming up off the corner.
Those two continue to fight for that 3rd spot.
Even down the back straightaway into 3. I think Truex easily drives into the corner. Takes the spot away. Now he's 3 seconds back, a little more than 3 seconds back to Reddick and Buescher out front. Let's see how quickly, if he can run them down.
Riding along with the Hunt Brothers Pizza on board of Kevin Harvick as he runs currently in that 5th position and gaining on the 12 of Ryan Blaney.
You off there. 1 lane higher than you by 1. Just watch your top.
Let's go through the field, brought to you by eBay, and we'll start with Kim and Buescher.
Yeah, Chris Buescher, our most recent winner, and he talked about coming into this weekend, the confidence boost that he had because of that win, and that they just straight up raced everyone and beat the best at it. They felt like they had a great chance this weekend too for a great finish. He said Michigan is such a huge race for Ford and Jack and Brad, and that makes me proud of what we were able to do last weekend and excited for what we're able to do this weekend. He runs in front of Tyler Reddick. Tyler Reddick has shown speed all weekend long. Tyler told me this morning they believe they have the speed to win this race, but the thing is they do not need to be pushing so hard in areas where mistakes can happen, and that's what they've been doing wrong recently. They want to clean up their mistakes, get themselves playoff ready. And as we have a battle for the lead, You see Tyler Reddick right there trying to give it to Chris Buescher. And we'll see what he can do. Now let's go back to the third position, Martin Truex Jr. What do we say about this car? We say it is a rocket ship. He has been absolutely quiet all race long on the radio. No complaints on that race car. And the goal today was to come in the points leader and leave the points leader. That's what James Small wanted to do. They have gotten stage points in both stage and looking for a great finish here this afternoon, Marty.
Ryan Blaney sitting in fourth, trying for a second Michigan win. If he's going to do that, he's going to have to figure out how to beat the 19 car right in front of him. Blaney said he just doesn't have any turn down into the corner to get to the bottom of the track. And you see that right there, trying to run the middle for Blaney, but says everybody else is gaining time on him on the bottom of the track. Harvick was able to hold that spot there in fourth right now after the restart just a moment ago. Said the car handling much better here today, but still just a little bit too tight for Kevin Harvick, who's had a good run of it lately. 3 straight top 10 finishes. Denny Hamlin also has had a good run of it lately. He has gained 28 points on the regular season championship, now sitting in second after passing William Byron for that last week. Problem is, the guy he's chasing, his teammate Martin Truex Jr., who's in front of him on the track, Kim.
And Austin Cindric running in the 7th position. When I talked with him this morning, just to get an idea of what they felt like he had, they said they didn't think they were the best Penske car. They said that was Brian Blaney, but they said they slotted right there in second in terms of the Penske group. But Austin said, give me a chance on restarts, and I think we have a shot at this race. Just running a little bit tight for the Austin Cindric machine, Marty.
Earlier, Ross Chastain said the car is very loose, and not the good kind of loose, the bad kind of loose. So Phil Surgeon went to work on that last stop, to the car much better, kind of back to how it was earlier in the race. You see where he's run today. He's been quick. Can he get the track position? That's the biggest key for him. Eric Almirola having a nice run, had a nice top 10 last week after a penalty early in the race at Richmond. He too among that group that pitted at lap 104. They can make it on one stop just like everybody else. Way too tight for Eric Almirola right now, Kim.
When I talked to crew chief Brian Wilson on the Harrison Burton machine, I said, kind of what's your goal? What are you looking at for the rest of the regular season, the rest of the season in general? And he said, week after week, we come in and we look at our teammates, that being those of the Penske cars. If we can run kind of in the mix with them, we feel like we've had a good weekend. We feel like we've brought the right car, and we feel like we are putting Harrison in a position to learn. They are absolutely doing that here this afternoon. Harrison Burton running in the 10th position as he drops down now to 11th.
He gets by him for that spot, but Harrison Burton a good run. Steve, as I look at the top two, they came on lap 104, which means they've got to come to pit road a little bit sooner than Martin Truex Jr. will have to.
So they have to come sooner, or they're going to need some more fuel. I actually think Buescher and Reddick are doing a great job of working with one another. They don't look like they're trying to pass each other. They're drafting each other down the straightaway. So back to Dale Jr.'s question about how quick the 19 will catch him, he's actually losing ground to these front two because the 19 has no one to draft off from. He's basically out here pushing his own air. So as the front two gap, they're going to have to come to pit road, I expect, with about 42 laps to go. They need full tanks of gas. That's going to take 13 seconds. Martin Truex Jr., he does not. He only needs about 9 seconds if he changes 4 tires. So they are trying to keep that gap over 5 seconds. We're going to see when green flag pit stops are, I expect, 45 to 42 to go.
So Buescher and Reddick trying to get away from the fastest car on the track, Martin Truex Jr. Buescher leading here in Michigan. Make sure to join Steve Letarte on Wednesday for NBC Sports on Sirius XM. That's NASCAR Radio Channel 90. Again at 9 a.m. with the morning drive. Pete Pistone, as well as the bag man. And Steve, I'm sure you're going to have a lot to talk about what we're seeing here, as well as looking forward to Indianapolis.
Yeah, for sure. We're going to talk about the speed of that 19. We're going to see if he's able to win this race, or is it Buescher for the rebeat or the Reddick? Lot to talk about.
You're watching NASCAR Cup Series racing presented by Golden Corral, and it is still Buescher and Reddick out in front of Martin Truex Jr. by about 6 seconds. And there you see Daniel Suarez trying to get by Harrison Burton. Those two fighting for the 11th spot. But we know that Buescher and Reddick will have to come to pit road in about 4 to 5 laps.
Yeah, so if you're Truex, you're going to let Buescher and Reddick probably come to pit road first. You're going to let them. We're playing poker. You're going to get to see at least a couple cards of their hand. You're going to see how long they're going to have to sit and wait on fuel to make sure you can make it to the end. What I don't know is exactly how much Truex needs, right? He has about 20 laps more fuel than these front two. So I know he doesn't have to wait on fuel. But does he have, a short enough fill that he could take 2 tires, right? He's not going to take 2 tires if he still needs 9 seconds worth of gas. But if he needs 9 seconds worth of gas and only 9, he could change 4 tires. So that's a little bit gray, a little bit fuzzy, because we're not exactly sure where the 19 and the 11 are on fuel load, but that's really what this race is building up to be. 17 and 45 pit first, 19 and 11 then counter with their pit stops, and then whose car drives the best for the sprint to the finish.
Let's take a look at the Toyota driver updates, and you see Tyler Reddick, 23-11 out there in second. Martin Truex Jr. is third. Hamlin 4th, Ty Gibbs in 12th, Bubba Wallace back a little bit just outside the top 15.
And at tracks like Darlington, in places where the lap time slows down, we always talk about coming early and short pitting and getting fresh tires. Throw all that out the window. I mean, these cars here at Michigan are running the same lap after lap after lap after lap. So I think that's why this 17 and 45, they don't want to come early, because being low on fuel, I have a little bit, less total weight on board. So they have taken that 4.5 second gap, as you see on the left side of your screen, and stretched it out to 5.6 seconds over the 19.
We see on the lower left corner, it said pit window is open, and it looks like the 17 and 45 both coming. They've got to slow it down to pit road speed, and so they have shown their hand as to when they came to pit road.
And you see Chris Buescher on the top. He said, I just got a little bit free in that clean air. They tripped up a little bit getting around the front of the car. 4 tires, Sunoco fuel. They are going to have to wait on fuel for both of these cars. You see Tyler Reddick on the bottom. That second can of Sunoco fuel going in, waiting, and down and away for both of those cars, Marty.
And yes, Kim, that's going to be the penalty for all these cars coming right now. They have to wait on fuel for so long. Kevin Harvick on pit road in that orange car you see right there. He said, as I run, as the 45 gets past the 17 on pit road, as you see them leaving pit road, as I run, I get tighter, Harvick said, and around me, I'm more sensitive when cars are around. I can do some things if I get some space. That's my biggest issue.
So the 45 passing the 17 is very impressive, assuming they all have enough gas on pit road now. is the 11 of Denny Hamlin. He's the first that needs less fuel. Let's see how long the pit stop is for the 11, Marty.
And this is interesting. Chris Gabehart making this call. He knows at a car deficit what he is with the 19. Can they beat them on pit road, though? The 11 has been one of the best on pit road for the last few weeks. Oh, and a problem for Tyler Reddick, who had just jumped the 17 on pit road. And another tire for Tyler Reddick, the right rear there. Man, they have had so many issues on pit road, and he has a wheel coming off here, Kim.
And Marty, you called it perfectly. Right rear tire going down. Absolutely devastating after getting the lead off of pit road. You see the crew there on the back of the car having a little bit of trouble there. So big issues for Tyler Reddick and this team. Again, right rear issue and now having trouble getting the tire off.
So they did what they wanted to do and they jumped in front of the 17, but now with this issue as they look, obviously there's more damage than just a wheel. Okay, here's the big story right here. Now the 19, the fastest car in Michigan coming to pit road. On the top right, you see Denny Hamlin serviced his car, but he was not able to leapfrog the 17. Let's see if Martin Truex Jr. in the 19 has better luck. About 6 seconds behind pre-pit stop. Let's see what they choose to do.
And first thing I've heard from Martin Truex Jr. all day long about his race car, he said it did get a little bit of free with just 2 tires, so electing to take 4 tires, making sure they're getting that fuel cell full. Down and done for Martin Truex Jr. on pit road.
All right, a pretty 9.8 you see on the bottom left. 9.8 for Martin Truex Jr., the 17 on the racetrack. I think the 17 is going to easily bypass him with just overall speed. The question is, where will the gap be? The 19 is left. He's on the apron. He's at speed. The 17 is going to love to see this. He's going to go by the 19. Now Truex up through the gears. Try to blend as early as possible on the banking. It was 6 seconds. It is definitely less than 6. The 19 closed the gap. 39 to go. There's your rabbit, Martin Truex Jr. If you want to win at Michigan, you got to run that 17 down.
Well, the 17 doesn't have anybody to work with like he was earlier with Reddick as far as pulling away. Now those two are battling it out. But again, you see Keselowski, he's actually leading the race. Hasn't been to pit road yet. Cindric.
Yeah, so all the cars on the left-hand side, they know, first of all, they're not losing time like normal because these tires don't really fall off, so don't come right away. Run as kind of long as you can. Maybe you'll get that lucky caution, get some track position, and cycle towards the front.
So when they came on pit road, take a look at this. When they came back on after, there was not a lug on here, Steve. Yeah. So somewhere the lug came off.
Right there. So what happens is, if we can see that one more time, they jack the right side up, the right rear goes down. You see that the tire wasn't tight, and now here's the 45 spinning because the wheel's basically trying to come off the car. So if we take another look at the pit stop, these tires will only tighten appropriately with the car in the air. If the weight of the car is there, you cannot pull this up like an old 5 lug nut situation. So when they come in, you're going to watch right away. Watch just the right rear tire changer. He has an issue. Jackman sees it, but then the changer thinks he's okay. Off looks fine. Very quick, actually. On. Now watch the actual socket. I don't know if the threads doesn't start, but you see the socket spinning. Jackman goes to leave, hand up. So the Jackman stops. He's going to come back and jack it up, but then the tire changer leaves. So all the Jackman can assume is whatever you had going on is good. Obviously, it didn't work out for the 45.
Same thing happened at Nashville earlier this year, and that loose wheel obviously didn't come off on the racetrack, so good for them, but bad for the issues that they've had. Listen into the 45 radio.
Looked at it and then hesitated. It didn't back it. Unacceptable. I couldn't agree more, man. I'm sorry you're in this spot again. So run some laps, take care of it, finish up.
What makes it more frustrating for Tyler Reddick is he knows they're waiting on gas. You know, you could change tires, Kim, in 9.5 seconds. They knew they needed more than 9.5 seconds worth of fuel.
And this is exactly what Tyler Reddick was talking to me about this morning, about pushing in areas where they didn't need to. They need to take their time, make their stops, make their races mistake-free as they prepare for their playoffs. This is exactly what Tyler Reddick didn't want to happen, and you heard the anger from him on the radio.
Yeah, I mean, he's frustrated because he jumped up in front of the 17. He thought this was his race to win, and I understand it. Another car who was having a great day, Austin Cindric in the 2 car, comes onto pit road. Everything looks pretty normal, but we talk a lot about being on the same page, right? Right side leaves. Austin goes to leave. The Jackman looks like he's changing lefts. Now they changed lefts, so some confusion between the plan and the driver. Just cost the 2 cars some time on this green flag cycle. And with that, Brad Keselowski now leads the race. Suarez, Gibbs, Larson, Jones, Logano.
Yeah, and that so what we're doing right now, we have several cars that pitted right there. Chastain, Blaney, Almirola, Cindric, Harrison, all those guys are a lap down. They need this thing to go green for it to cycle around, so these guys have to pit. Marty.
And meanwhile, Brad Keselowski would love to get a caution for him. About 10 to 15 more laps before they pit. Steve running, Matt McCall making this decision as long as he can. Why not, right? Take every advantage you can. They've already gained a lot of points today. Maybe they could steal one here at Michigan.
Yeah, Marty, they're hoping that this stays green. And the 2 that are fighting right now that have been to pit road potentially for the win are the 17 of Buescher and the 19 of Truex Jr. They're running 18th and 19th. Again, Buescher is running 16th right now, but he is leading the cars that have been to pit road and can make it all the way to the checkered flag.
Buescher is, Truex is right there behind him and is closing ever so slightly. Traffic in front of the 17 will be another opportunity for Martin to take a few tenths away of that deficit between the 2 cars. When they're in even, clear traffic, they almost run identical times. It's going to come down to which car gets through traffic better, which car handles that dirty air better, and it's so far all day been that 19.
Steve, we would expect these guys, the top 16 right now, or top 14 actually, to be having to come to pit road because they've gone almost 50 laps now. And you said that was about the fuel window?
Yeah, they're going to be within a handful of laps before they come to pit road, and that's going to make this the battle for the lead. And to Dale's point, just as you said it, Dale, right? The 17 got through traffic, and the 19 ate up this lead through traffic.
Again, Chris Buescher, as he continues to move up the leaderboard, he's 13th. And that is because Martin Truex Jr. and Chris Buescher have both been to pit road already. All of the cars in front of them, scored in front of them, have been or need to still come to pit road. And there's the gap between what will be the top 2 after everybody makes their green flag pit stops.
That's a good corner right there for the 17 versus Truex. So that's them running by themselves. I think the 17 ought to be applauded to be able to have the speed they do at this point in the race. The 19 was about 2/10 clear of the field all day long. But now the 17 looks like as good a race car. It's going to be a hard pass to make. The balance on this 17 is going to have to start going south. He's going to have to start struggling with something to give Truex any opportunity.
Marty, what about A.J. Allmendinger in the 16?
Yeah, 2 stops on the last stop for A.J. Allmendinger. The left rear was loose, so they too had to come back down pit road. A.J. was not very happy about it, and he said coming into the weekend, we'll know after Michigan what we have to do at the road courses where A.J. Allmendinger is excellent. Looks like it might be a must-win scenario. 26 points below the cut line for A.J. Allmendinger. After today, just 3 races left in the regular season.
Again, that's as they run, so there are cars that are in front of them who will still have to come to pit road. As we see Martin Truex Jr. just ever so slightly eating away at that gap between the 17 and the 19. Kim.
And Daniel Suarez making his green flag stop. He said it fired off just a little bit free and then got tight in the center. Felt like he had a 4-wheel slide. The call by crew chief Travis Mack to take 4 tires on that machine.
Top of the screen, Truex about a 10th quicker than Buescher that lap. 6 cars on pit road, Marty.
Boy, RFK is on the scene, aren't they, Junior? Brad Keselowski pits from the lead. He's at speed all day long, would love to win at his home racetrack. In fact, has said, I would rather have a win here than in the Daytona 500. We'll see where he cycles out after this, but Matt McCall running him as far as he could. Looks like just a 2-tire stop for Keselowski and fuel to be able to make it to the end for the 6 car. His teammate Buescher still on the racetrack, actually 4 for Keselowski, and Buescher flashes by as well.
Only 24 laps of fuel is all they need, Steve, to get to the checkered flag.
Yeah, so at this point, you know, they needed basically the same amount as the 19 and all of those guys. And now you see Keselowski on the left side. He's going to cycle in like the 13th, 14th area. This is the big moment for the 17 right here, catching these 2 slower cars. Will he be able to get by him before he gets to the corner? No, looks like he's going to have to try to pass him in the corner.
Yeah, this will be tough. Truex takes the big arc, dives down into the middle. This is, oh, here it comes. 19's going to have some momentum. 17's in dirty air of the 62 car, Austin Hill. He's got a little bit of a run down the back straightaway. Buescher's got to figure out where this car in front of him is going to go. Hill's going to go back to the bottom. Here comes the Truex car. He's going to have a great run again. Another opportunity down the front straightaway.
Running 7th and 8th right now. Buescher in front of Martin Truex Jr. And again, everyone scored in front of them. Still has to come to pit road. A little more momentum there out of the 19 as they get by Austin Hill in that 62.
Big sigh of relief for Chris Buescher there to be able to get through that without having to fend off any battles from the 19. But Truex is close. We've seen him dive down into the corner. He's not going to be able to do it.
RFK really showing that they have turned things around with that organization, as Buescher won a week ago at Richmond, and now he's out in front here. Can he hold off Martin Truex Jr.? No one has been able to do it today.
Right now he's going to need a lot of help from his spotter. Chris Buescher will need to know where that 19's at all times. He's looking in the mirror. He's driving with one eye in the mirror and one eye out the front windshield, trying to be able to go wherever he can to take air away, make it difficult for the 19 car Truex. Truex has been using the bottom here. Christopher Buescher's been doing a good job of shading that way.
Jeff, what can the spotter do? What can he tell the driver right now as far as choosing the line ahead of Martin Truex Jr.?
Yeah, a little bit of information is great, but you know, with the mirrors and the technology today, Chris Buescher really has a great shot. The way the electronic mirror works is it's sitting on his dash, so he doesn't even have to look up anymore. He can look at his dash, and he can maintain and understand exactly where Martin Truex is going. So I don't know that the spotters is as important today as he's been in the past.
So the blue box around Buescher and Truex Jr. It's just Austin Dillon now. that is in front of these two, about 4.5 seconds in front of them.
So far, it's been a good job by the 17. And Brad said earlier this week, commenting on the win from last week at Richmond, the next thing for this organization is a multi-win season. I don't think he was talking about this weekend, but here we are. Chris Buescher, they were fast in qualifying, laid down some killer laps to put this car in the top 10.
Well, and to add to that, you know, Keselowski is now 5th as the pit cycle has continued. You know, he's all the way up inside the top 5.
So I think at this point, Truex is going to have to start seeing what's up top. He knows that the 17 is shading low. He's protecting that bottom groove. You see the season this team's had over there on the left in the pylon. Maybe it's time for Truex to start seeing what the middle or the top side of this racetrack looks like for him. That keeps the 17 guessing. Right now, Truex is showing the same plan every lap, every corner. Maybe he goes in the corner, like right there. He's up the racetrack a little bit higher now.
It just doesn't seem to be the grip up there. I see other cars trying it, but it just doesn't seem to be a ton of grip. See Buescher having to block because Truex did get a run.
Yeah.
It got him some forward momentum, but not enough to get alongside of Buescher.
And we're hearing a spotter.
Down by 3.
That's Mike Herman Jr. speaking
cover.
to Chris Buescher and giving him that information of where Martin Truex Jr. is, and now the gap about 3 to 4 car lengths that separate the top 2. Under 17 laps to go. And throughout this entire race, we've watched Martin Truex Jr. just dominate and pass cars at will. But now, with only 16 laps to go, he's struggling to get by the 17 of Buescher.
Looking out front, all the lap traffic is single cars. No big chunks of 3 or 4 cars. That would absolutely be the last thing Buescher wants to see. And here he is again, having to pass Austin Hill. Austin Hill was creating some issues with these 2 cars the last time they were trying to get around him. So Buescher hoping this will be a little bit easier.
We've spoke a lot about the resurgence of RFK, which started out as Roush Racing, just Jack Roush, adding Fenway and then Keselowski. But the last time that the 17 won back-to-back races was all the way back in 2009, and that was Matt Kenseth, who won the Daytona 500 and then backed it up with a win in California.
That last time through 1 and 2, the 19 ran the top of the racetrack. Didn't really gain a ton, didn't lose any though. Buescher, a little bit of a moment it looked like right there, lost a little bit off turn 4.
The gap, 2.5 tenths. And you see as Truex eats away at that just little by little. A 1/10.5 separating them. Are we seeing the Fords showing improvement at the right time as we get closer to the playoffs?
Truex at the top of the racetrack. I think we are, Rick. Last several weeks, the Fords have gotten back into the front of the field here. Truex right on his bumper. No run to be able to pull out. Try to make a pass. It's going to go down here low. The 17 going to be able to block it. Truex is there. He's going to be side by side off the corner.
Here comes Truex down the backstretch.
Truex going to try to bury it down into turn 3. So is the 17.
Little side drafting, and will he be able to clear him?
He does it.
There's a car in front. That's the 34 of McDowell. Now, who will use that car? As the side draft happens again, Martin Truex Jr. surging ahead as he pulled the 17 back. Now the 17 side drafts him back.
Whoa, the 19's coming up the track a little bit. He's loose. He
has to get out of the gas.
Oh, my goodness.
You saw the fire come out of the pipes of the 19 car. That's when he lifted off the throttle. And now Buescher's driving away. That's a big gap. that Truex is going to have to earn back. But now Buescher knows the weakness. Now Buescher knows no matter what, if the 19 gets underneath me, I'm going to put my door on his door because he is loose underneath.
Nobody's been able to drive down into turn 1 on the inside with success, and Truex had to try it. He had no other choice, but just that's been a low percentage move all race long, and you can see the back of the car step out. Does a good job of saving it.
Now he needs to regroup.
Well, spun it out there.
Yes, you did.
Yep.
About spun it out there. So under 11 laps to go, coming up on 10.
So now, can he get enough momentum? Is his car good enough? We saw he was loose underneath him. All day long, we've seen Truex just drive by people. He wasn't able to do that time. That tells me his car is not as good as it once was. Does he have the speed? That time, Buescher was faster than Truex.
Saw the flag person showing him 10 fingers, 10 laps to go as we see a battle for 5th.
The battle back here. Somebody else, guys, that we wrote off earlier in the race, the 20 of Christopher Bell. I mean, his car was destroyed, big damage, and he has one of the fastest cars on the racetrack right now. He's sitting here running in 14th, run Eric Almirola down big time. He's just going to drive right by him right here. I had no idea that this car in this condition could be this fast.
Yeah, I didn't think it was possible, Jeff. I saw the same thing, not only where he was running, but to your point, the lap time, much faster than the cars in front. The 99 of Suarez, a better weekend for Trackhouse, improving as he tries to pass Blaney for 8th. See on the upper left, Buescher still has about a 1 second gap over Truex.
Look at how tight it is at the cut line for the playoffs. Again, 3 races remain.
Can't get to the 45, push him. There you go. Yeah, you're good. No run out back now.
Gibbs 3 points ahead of McDowell, right there in that 16th spot. Suarez 7 points back. Here's a run by Logano.
These guys are racing hard back here.
Bubba Wallace got a car smoking coming onto pit road here. 38 having some issues. Looked like a left rear tire, so he gets on the brakes, locks up the right front, so the left rear is flat.
Gilliland comes to the attention of his crew. No caution has come out. Harrison Burton running in the 17th position now, just behind Logano.
Yeah, let's remember that, you know, the 19 won the second stage. He had control of the race, and he decided to pit at the end of the stage to put a little bit more fuel in that car and right side tires to try to shorten his green flag pit stop. The 17 was one of those cars that stayed out on the racetrack, knowing he needed a longer pit stop. It was the 17 and the 45. You see the crew chief right there in the bottom right-hand side of your screen. Scott Graves made that decision. The 17 and the 45 put an amazing drive together before pit stops to gap the 19. That's really what allowed the 17 to pit and keep the lead over the 19. And now the job, guys, that Buescher has done with the 19 hounding him is super impressive, Kim.
And looking at back-to-back wins, what a huge accomplishment if they're able to pull it off here with 6 laps to go. And we covered it in our Cup Series practice show earlier in the weekend. Team owner Brad Keselowski said last week's win made this team relevant. What a multi-win season would do is make them a competitor for the championship, get people's attention. The other thing that would help that, if they're both running in the top 5. Chris Buescher, currently P1. Brad Keselowski, that second car of that RFK team, P4. Great day for RFK.
And Kim, Martin Truex Jr. has closed the gap. He is definitively the fastest car on the racetrack now, as he has got the sights set on the 17 of Buescher. He's seen this before. Can he figure out how to get by him?
The balance in the 17 car really struggling. He's trying to break the draft down the straightaways, and the lap traffic has been the cause of that. He's had to go around a couple cars, and that's been the difference between them running even laps or the 19 being 3/10 quicker when they're passing even just 1 lap car. We're seeing a little bit of movement in the 17 car in the middle of 3 and 4 as well. Look at him moving back and forth, trying to break that draft and not allow that 19 to close up.
4 laps to go. The gap under 0.3 of a second again. Martin Truex Jr. has already been to victory lane 3 times this season. The announcement made he'd be back and racing again in 2024.
That time down the back straightaway, Truex is tired of chasing him around on them straightaways for the draft, so just let him go to the bottom of the racetrack. This is going to be very tough for 19. I think the 17, if he does everything right, he should be able to put together enough laps without a challenge from the 19. Right there, you can see it. The 19 gets within about 10 car lengths or 8 car lengths. He starts to struggle with that dirty air as well.
Under 3 laps, and Buescher, as Jeff mentioned earlier, one eye on that mirror and one eye out front, trying to take away the line of the 19 of Truex.
No lap traffic in front of him. It's about a half a straightaway to the next car.
Now 2 to go. All right, drivers, how do you get by him?
Truex has tried everything. You know, right there, he sent it in. I mean, he just sent that thing in the corner. A deep drive into it, and he netted out. Although he got slow in the center of the corner, it helped him. So he learned something right there. Let's see if he does it again.
Down the back stretch, they'll only do it one more time as they go through 3 and 4. The gap still right around 2.5 tenths.
Truex now trying the high side. It's cost him a little bit in the corner, but a little bit of speed down the straightaway, just not enough.
Watch him into one, though.
1 lap to go, presented by Credit One Bank. There's been 6 last lap passes here at Michigan. Will this be number 7? Or can Chris Buescher hang on and go back-to-back after winning on a short track a week ago? What will the 19 try?
3 to the bottom.
Down to the bottom of the racetrack he goes. He's closed the gap. Off of turn 4. Buescher is going to do it. He goes back-to-back. He'll win in Michigan.
Hell yeah, guys. Hell yeah. Oh my God, I can't believe that. Holy crap, great job, great job.
9 races in a row. Ford has won here at Michigan. And behind the wheel this time, Chris Buescher, and a very ecstatic crowd and crew celebrating this win. 4 career wins for Chris Buescher.
Way to go. Way to go.
Took over 20 hours before the conclusion of this race. And the celebration by Buescher on an overcast Monday. Chris Buescher celebrating, and he should celebrate after beating Martin Truex Jr., who this weekend was the dominant car. This checkered flag moment brought to you by Advance Auto Parts.
Before Chris won last week, Ford had 2 wins on the season. Now they've gone back-to-back. I think that answers the question if Ford has found what they need to finish this year strong.
And doing it at the right time. Only 3 races until the playoffs start.
As he is now stopped right here at the start-finish line. He's dropped the window net, taking his gloves off, and he is going to fly now.
Hard-fought race for Martin Truex Jr. on the left side of the screen. Ends up second. It was a 1/10 and a half that separated the top 2. Hamlin finishes 3rd, and driver owner Brad Keselowski brings his Ford home in 4th. Kyle Larson was 5th. Marty.
It has been 10 years since Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing won at Michigan. That was with Greg Biffle. They do it today with Chris Buescher, win number 14, more than any organization here at Jack Roush's home racetrack. The crew coming in for a hug as well for Chris Buescher, who goes back-to-back. As you mentioned, Rick, 9 straight for Ford here at MIS. Welcome back. It's been all of 8 days, right? So congratulations on the back-to-back wins. Brad said earlier this week, that's the next step, multi-wins. But did you honestly expect it to come this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, that was our plan, right? That's what we come to do every weekend. So first off, just thank you for all the fans that hung out here on Monday with us. It's awesome. Glad we got to get this whole thing in. I know it's been a long weekend, but no, this Castro Mustang was so good in practice qualifying. This team gave me a great car again, and had to work for that one too, and hard racing there at the end, and Martin was very clean with me, and I appreciate that, and get to go to Victory Lane 2 weeks in a row, so that's pretty awesome.
I think these fans thought this was Martin Truex Jr.'s race. How did you guys, first of all, make the car better, and then how did you hold them off after 2 hard charges from the 19?
I think that's the same thing I said yesterday. He came by us a few times and was flying, so some really good changes. Got this Mustang in a good place to win here at Michigan for Ford, for Jack. Brad's home track. It's everybody's home track on our team but me, so it's a cool victory here. I gotta say, missing my wife. She hasn't been at the last 2 wins now, so 3 wins. Ooh. Yeah, we're gonna have to get her to a racetrack soon. So, but I didn't thank her last week, and I know she puts up with a lot. So, wish she was here, and we'll get to celebrate now.
Back-to-back for you. Brad finishes 4th today, your boss man. What kind of statement is that? Is RFK saying, hey, we're the best Ford team in the garage area right now?
I mean, results will do it, right? And, we've got work to do yet, but that's massive progress right there for us to do 2 vastly different racetracks. And we got road races coming up. I'm excited for those too, and Daytona. So, I don't know, I look at the schedule we have ahead of us, and this is a heck of a time to get turned on and get rolling.
What an effort for Chris Buescher, Roush Fenway Keselowski racing in front of the Michigan fans. Jack Roush's home racetrack. He puts it in victory lane back-to-back weeks, Rick.